Howdy, y'all. It's critical. We're going to tag the history of wrestling video games thing back on here just for one day. I'm Mongo, joined as always by my co-host Liger Busa, and this week we're talking about four games, but really three games, although it's kind of two games. It's the Fire Pro Wrestling series on the Game Boy Advance. Uh, I'm going to wax nostalgic long form about these games because they mean a lot to me as a fan. But before we get there, this is like what, week three in a row? How are you this week?
Not too bad. It's been pretty, normal week. I was playing Mass Effect 2 last night and I need to finish that up today. I'm just about ready to do the final mission.
Nice.
I really like those games. They're pretty great.
I always wanted to play them, but that's like there's a point in like the PS3 console generation where I just didn't have a system for like a year or two because
Yeah.
my PS3 yellow lighted on me, and then yeah, that was it. The PS3 yellow lighted on me. I got a 360, and I was like, I just bought all the games I just had on the PS3 that I didn't like. What the fuck am I doing? So I sold the 360, and I just didn't have a system for a while. So there's the stuff I missed out on. And unlike not having a system now, and I'm missing out on a bunch of stuff, I don't like. I actually care that I missed out on games in that era. Now I don't fucking care. These games all look like shit.
I think it was on sale on the Legendary Edition was on sale on Steam. That's where I bought it actually. I had it
Uh,
on the Xbox Series X, but I was like, I hardly play my Xbox. I don't really have access to it either because it's in like the living room. So I was like, I'll just buy it on Steam and play it through that way. But yeah, those games are pretty great. Like the only things I don't like is like the vehicle missions. In the first one, there's some. In the second one, it's like a flying vehicle thingy majiggy, and they're just not fun to control. But I really like the story and the characters, and you get so much details on like the alien races. You get like a whole goddamn codex, and it just goes like on forever. Like there's voiceovers and stuff. It's like they wrote like it's like a novel basically. And yeah, it's really cool, like the amount of detail they put into everything.
I need to play that game eventually.
Yeah,
But we're talking Game Boy Advance Fire Pro this week. Um, Fire Pro A came out first. Obviously, it launched in Japan in March of '01.
that's a Canadian
The
version, right?
well, yeah. I so we get the localization here. It's supposed to be a launch title. I didn't get the thing till a month later because Walmart didn't get the fucking thing in.
I
And I've oh, go on.
I was just gonna say I actually never played it on original hardware, including my review, because I didn't have a GB at the time.
Oh, my mom reserved me the Glacier GBA, whatever, like the see-through one. Unfortunately, Ray Lloyd didn't
Uh,
endorse it.
I was gonna say the Blood
Um,
Runs Gold Edition.
and I got Thips 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 with my Game Boy Advance. And that was like the only game I had until that fateful day, the Kmart in St. Mary's, Ohio, where my mom was like, let's go see what games they got. Because it was like right after my birthday. I just turned 10. And we go back to the big wall that had the game cases, and I'm looking for something, and like there's the Street Fighter 2 Turbo like Game Boy Advance port, which is great for what it is. But then I just happen to look down and I see the cover of Fire Pro, and I remembered seeing it in EGM and on GameSpot where like the screenshots were just blatantly like the WWF guys in the correct attire colors, and I was
Of
like,
course, yeah.
Hogan and Rock. What do you mean this game's a Hulk Hogan and the Rock? What the fuck? So, and it's funny because you know what the real main event was at WrestleMania the following year, and I remember my mom got me the game, and I've told this story on the podcast before, but since we're talking about it, it's relevant once again. And I got it, and I was like, "Where are the WWF guys?" Like the first guy you see is it's fake Stone Cold, but he's in white. You scroll down one guy, there's Joe Marici, who was like I find out later in life was like a sales guy for Capcom that was responsible for the PC ports of Mega Man being made. And like I'm scrolling down, there's like a dude in like a really weird like peach colored onesie. His name's Omega, but he's not Kenny. I didn't even know who Kenny Omega was because of 2001. And it was so confusing. And I've talked about this. I remember being at like the laundromat shortly after I got the game, in like just scrolling through the roster and seeing like scrolling down the New Japan roster and seeing Jushin Liger, who I remember from WCW. But that was after I scrolled down the Noah roster and I saw Vader. And I remember walking up to my mom and going like, "Hey mom, remember I thought this game was all fake wrestlers?" And she's like, "Yeah," which I guess I mean they are fake wrestlers, all of them. But I was like, "Who is this?" And I showed it to my mom. She goes, "Oh, that's Vader." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. I think everybody in this game might be based on somebody who's like a real wrestler." And then I saw Liger, and then I started like just paying close attention to everybody in every like organization because I had done the all style clear cheat, so I had all the unlockable guys, and like you scroll down freelance, like there's clearly Abdul the Butcher, there's Terry Funk, and like Nurse Scrubs, and seeing Liger and seeing like Chono, who I remembered a little bit from WCW, and then getting the rename guide on on Game Facts and seeing like, oh, that guy that I thought was Kane actually was Kane, and the guy that I thought was Stone Cold was Stone Cold, and the guy in Christmas colors is the Undertaker. Okay, I get it. I get it now. And being on that Game Facts board is what led me to discovering King of Colosseum, which is what led me obviously to discovering KOC2 when that came out. And so basically, this game led me down the primrose path of like, there's thousands of dollars of Japanese wrestling merchandise in this house that 100% would not have been here if I didn't get that game at that point in my life. It's so fucking weird to think about, but like, I learned so much about wrestling just by extension of owning this one game. Like the whole thing it sent me down, like the Angel Fire websites and like Pro Rest Spirit, which Stu ended up being a fucking weirdo, but like I still have an affinity for what that website meant to me as a fan. And DVD and all the other websites, like that shit all starts here on the Game Boy Advance of all fucking things. It's very weird. Um, so basically, I I did my due diligence, and I'm fairly certain Fire Pro A and Fire Pro Wrestling are the same game. Um, aside from the obvious like roster attire color issues. I had forgotten that the Road Warriors, who are in the freelance stable, are also subject to having their attires recolored. Because like I scrolled down freelance and I saw them, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? It is '01. They're still pretty contemporary, I guess. It would make sense to recolor those guys. But then you scroll down a little bit, and there's just it's Abdul the Butcher. They don't do anything to fucking change him.
No, I was I was really confused because I was in WCW and there's this guy with blonde hair and like blue trunks and white boots, and I was like, is that Lex Luger? Because I'm like, well, we've been over it before. I'm pretty sure Lex Luger is not in any Fire Pro game. I'm like, that can't be him. So I went and downloaded the Japanese version as well, Fire Pro A, and I went to the same slot. It was Mike Awesome, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, Grabby Gussum, I think, is his
Yeah,
US name, which I don't even want to dig into what that's potentially implying. Um, Pulling up the rename list on Fire Pro or not Fire Pro. I keep calling fucking Critical Club Fire Pro Club, and I hate myself for it.
I
Um,
mean, it's sort of overtaken that position, basically.
yeah. So the rename list on here has differences with the WWF and WCW rosters, and I'm trying to figure out what those are exactly. You know what? The best way to do this is probably just copy and paste these. This is going to be riveting fucking audio. Give me just a moment. Because I just assumed the rosters were 1-to-1 because I looked at them until
I
my
thought so
brain
too.
felt more like mush than usual. Or is it just that the names are different?
That's what I
The
figured.
names are different. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense now. Okay. So I'm about to give y'all the whole motherfucking roster for both of these games. You have Antonio Inoki, Riki Choshu, Masa Saito, Tatsumi Fujinami, Keiji Muto, Kensuke Sasaki, Manabu Nakanishi, Yuji Nagata, Shiroko Shinaka, Kazuo Yamazaki, Takashi Iizuka, Osamu Nishimura, Yutaka Yoshie, Tadao Yasuda, Junji Hirata, Kengo Kimura, Osamu Kido, Jushin Thunder Liger, Boris Johnston, which nobody fucking knows who that is, Kotetsu Yamamoto, Tiger Mask, Dynamite Kid, Kuniaki Kobayashi, Koji Kanemoto, Shinjiro Otani, Kendo Kashin, El Samurai, Tatsuhito Takaiwa, and Dr. Wagner Jr. for Team
One sec. Who was that?
Yo,
Johnson?
Brian Johnston. He was a
Right.
guy that was, I think, in like G eggs. He might have, is he the guy that
Yes.
had the, he's the guy that had the stroke.
Yeah, I think he was in like Club 245 or whatever it was called, right? With like Fry that originally came in.
I think so.
Yeah, he was like a shooter guy, like UFC, right?
Yeah, and the only thing I really remember about him is that he had like a massive stroke or some shit. It's
Yeah,
like the only
yeah.
thing I remember him
I
for.
remember, yeah.
Um, all right, now my laptop's being a little silly with me. Give me a second. Why I'm using a 13-year-old Toshiba laptop for anything at this point is beyond me, but here we are.
You could browse on your Steam Deck.
I could, but I don't like using the browser on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
We got Masahiro Chono, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, Satoshi Kojima, Tatsutoshi Goto, Michiyoshi Ohara, Hiro Saito, Akira, Scott Norton, Don Fry, Super J, Giant Baba, Jumbo Tsuruta, Genichiro Tenyu, Toshiaki Kawada, Hiroshi Hase, Hiroji Wajima, Nobutaka Araya, Masanobu Fuchi, Stan Hansen, Steve Williams, Terry Gordy, Johnny Ace, Dory Funk Jr., Bart Gunn, Taiyokea, Johnny Smith, Mitsuharu Misawa, Kenta Kobashi, Akira Taue, Jin Akiyama, Takayo Omori, Yoshihiro Takayama, Yoshinari Ogawa, Tamon Honda, Jun Izumida, Masao Inoue, Kentaru Shiga, Daisuke Ikeda, Takeshi Rikio, Super Vader. This is what I'm just going to call him because I think it's funny. Tsuyoshi Kikuchi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, uh, Hiromichi Fuyuki, Hayabusa, Masato Tanaka, Mr. Ganasuke, Tetsuhiro Kuroda, Hiskatsu Oya, Kintaro Kanemura, Ryuji Yamakawa, Jado Geto, Unmasked Hayabusa, or H. It's listed as both here. Ricky Fuji and Kyoko Inoue. We got Jinsei Shizaki, Mil Mascaras, Dos Caras, Great Sasuke, Grand Hamada, Super Delphin, Dick Togo, Tiger Mask 4, Grand Naniwa, Minoru Fujita, Curryman, Ultimo Dragon, Magnum Tokyo, Shima, Suwa, Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, Triple H, Mankind, Kane, Shawn Michaels, Big Show, Ken Shamrock, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, X Pac, Davey Boy Smith, Eddie Guerrero, Taka Michinoku, Vince McMahon, Bill Goldberg, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Sting, The Great Muta, Kevin Nash, Bret Hart, Rick and Scott Steiner, Randy Savage, Terry Funk, Bam Bam Bigelow, Diamond Dallas Page, Mike Awesome, Rey Mysterio Jr., Kaz Hayashi, Akira Maeda, Kiyoshi Tamura, Nobuhisa Yamamoto, Tsuyoshi Kosaka, Hiromitsu Kanehara, Tariel Bitsadz, Volkan, Dan Severn, Andre Kopylov, Mascot Funaki, Yuki Kondo, Minoru Suzuki, Boss Root, and Semi Schilt, Yuki Ishikawa, Alexander Otsuka, Mitsuya Nagai, Mohamed Yone, Minoru Tanaka, Kazushi Sakuraba, Kazuyuki Fujita, Nobuhiko Takada, Ensign Inoue, Masaki Satake, Mark Kerr, Igor Vovchanchin, Hickson Gracie, Alexander Karelin, Hoist Gracie, Henzo Gracie, Gerard Gordeau, Peter Eretz, Andy Hoog, Rumino Sato rather, Naoya Ogawa, Shinya Hashimoto, Atsushi Onita, Yoshiaki Fujiwara, Yoji Anjo, Kazunori Murakami, Masahito Kakihara, Masahiro Matsunaga. Putting those two names next to each other is fucking diabolical if you're trying to read them. Tarzan Goto, Mr. Pogo, Shoji Nakamaki, Naoki Sano, The Great Kabuki, The Road Warriors, Abdullah the Butcher, Tiger Jeet Singh, Sabu, Rob Van Dam, Masao Orihara, Negro Casas, Ricky Dozon, Carl Gotch, Luthez, Super Tiger, Killer Khan, Bruiser Brody, Andre the Giant, Roland Bach, Gary Albright, Dick Murdoch, and Bob Backlund. That is your
Woo!
complete roster of games. It is a massive fucking roster, and I remember as a kid being impressed is probably an understatement by the sheer selection of characters in this game. It was like it felt like you could play a match as everybody and it would take forever, like just one match as each character. And also, like for a game that releases in early 2001, like March '01, find me a single fucking person that's missing that was a big deal. I mean,
Yeah, I like that Shoji Nakamaki still made it in.
yeah, like looking at it honestly, Kurt Angle's like the one big omission
Yeah.
because like Ken Shamrock and Shawn Michaels are still in, but where's Kurt?
Yeah, it's a weird one.
And there's like a shit ton of edit wrestler templates too. One of which is Ultimate Warrior, who we'll talk about in a moment, but he makes it into the American version of Fire Pro 2. God, they got a lot of edits in this game, like edit templates. There's the destroyer. God forbid he just be in these games fucking straight up. Um, Obviously, being on a 4 button system instead of a 6 button system, the gameplay's a little bit different. It's A for weak, B for medium, and then A and B is like A and B takes the place of both the square and X move and the circle move.
Hmm.
So like it maybe there's some sort of like if you hold the button or you do like a long tap, but I didn't notice that. So it
I
trims down the move sets a little bit, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, I was looking at the manual. It said if you do A and B together, you get the strong grapples. But
Okay,
I
so it does just take the place of circle.
yeah, but I was having trouble pulling them off too. But it might have been just like because the controller layout, obviously on emulation, is a bit different than the actual GBA, and it can be awkward. Holding the two buttons at the same time. I find with the Steam, with my controller anyway, not the Steam Deck controller. But yeah, I mean, but it makes sense. I mean, they found a way to implement their layout into the GBA, and the gameplay is with the graphics. It feels very much like a Fire Pro G or Six Man Scramble specifically, because obviously
Yeah.
there was sort of like a graphical evolution with D and then returns. But yeah, that's what it basically feels like. Um, in regards to like modes as well, I was impressed that they kept the electrified cage in.
Yeah.
What when you throw someone into it, you just get like a flash of like yellow lighting, which is funny because it reminded me of the TNA electrified cage when it would just light up blue and that was it. But then the explosion itself is actually really cool. Looks reminds me a lot of it. I mean, it's pretty much the same as the consoles, but obviously not as graphically impressive. But it's really cool that they got that in. I wish that was still in like the newer Fire Pros.
Yeah, I don't. I wish we didn't have the American cage match. Like, I get why
Yeah,
they put it in returns, but like, I would not have sacrificed the really unique exploding cage for that. I'm glad it's here. Also, in this game, there's leagues and single elimination tournaments, which is really cool. Um, and there's the audience ranking mode, which the description of it confused the shit out of me for like years. Um, because it's just like try to win over the audience. It hides the fact that it's the beat all the like wrestlers in a certain style and unlock the characters mode.
right.
Like literally for years, I was like, I'll just do all style clear because I don't know how to unlock these guys otherwise. Because I was a dumb kid. Um,
No, you're
but
right
that
though.
mode's a lot of fun.
It's not very clear when you're reading it.
No, there Fire Pro, even as recently as World, Fire Pro has a history of like really questionable, spotty localization. And that's putting it nicely. But it's a fun mode. It's a bit of a gauntlet, but it's a fun mode.
Yeah,
And obviously, Wrestler Edit is here, and I remember at like 10 years old, just like being like completely overwhelmed by that edit mode in a way that like the most recent wrestling game that had come out that had a create a wrestler mode at that point in the US was SmackDown 2. And that create a wrestler mode's daunting in some ways. It's not as simple as No Mercy. Or at least I thought when I was a kid. And like Fire Pro is like this is a game on the Game Boy with 2D sprites, and this has like way more stuff in it than the games on the PlayStation. It was like mind blowing, like how much depth there is. And now you look at it and like it's standard fare for Fire Pro. It is standard Fire Pro edit mode. Very much to your point about the graphics, it feels very much like Fire Pro G's edit mode,
yeah,
which is not a knock at all. Someone once described this game as if they did like a backport of Fire Pro D, and yeah, that's kind of what it is. The rosters are somewhat similar. Um, the one graphical difference I will note is that in Fire Pro G, the ring is like clearly a 3D model. Even then, like the way the ropes animate, that's not like sprite work. At least it doesn't look like it. So maybe they fooled me. But like this, the rings in this game look more like the rings in a 6 Man Scramble in terms
yeah,
of how like the ropes animate and stuff.
definitely.
You can clone the WWF guys and give them proper attire colors if you're playing the American version of the game, but you will do so at the cost of an edit slot. It's not like Fire Pro Returns, for example, where you got like the ability to recolor one attire for free. This
Hmm.
game doesn't afford you that luxury, unfortunately, and that's always kind of driven me nuts because like I don't want to have to recolor all of these guys and then move their defaults to the fucking retire folder because when I'm moving characters around between promotions again, I'm or even my edits to the promotions, and I'm gonna see all the characters I moved to retire, and then my like brain's gonna be like, well, you're ditching the actual versions of these characters, like the default versions. So like, just be mindful of that. You can have the corrected attire colors, or you can just play Fire Pro A and have all of the same stuff. It'll be in Japanese, but like the code is out there for like the all style clear, or you can just play through the mode yourself and then you can just have everybody in their correct attire colors. And it's awesome. Like the gameplay holds up in a way that a lot of games don't, especially portable wrestling games. We've talked about them a bunch on this show. A lot of them you have to just appreciate for like what they are, which is typically a smaller version of a major console game that had to make a ton of concessions to make like an 8-bit cartridge. There's like almost no concessions here other than like, oh, there's too few buttons, so we've got to we got to figure a way to like still have the strong grapples and everything in there in a way that makes sense and isn't convoluted. Basically, they added the fucking ground counters to this game. Like that's something the console games did not have prior to this. Like they finally make an appearance in Z, but like they didn't make any major concessions. They added shit. It's crazy. And also there's a dojo mode where you can fight Kotetsu Yamamoto, which is neat.
I don't know how this game sold outside of Japan, but I thought it was like a brilliant idea putting Fire Pro on the GBA because it allowed them to do something different and maybe get attention um that they wouldn't have got, like say if they released like for example G around this time because it would have been swallowed by SmackDown. Um,
Yeah.
but when you're doing something on a console that maybe doesn't have any WWF games or they weren't as well received, it lets you stand out more. And I feel like it did get a lot of attention from people who otherwise wouldn't have played a Fire Pro game or wouldn't have access to it because they were released in Japan. It would have
You know,
been. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say also that's a great point. There was no WWF game on launch in the US for the Game Boy Advance. Fire Pro beat the WWF to market. If you go with Fire Pro A, 8 months. If you go with the Game Boy Advance like US version, it's like 5-ish months. I think Road to
Yeah,
WrestleMania comes out in November. So like if you were a wrestling fan when the Game Boy Advance launched, especially if you saw those screenshots of everybody with the proper attire colors, there was no other option. You were gonna play this or you're gonna wait 2 months for fucking Betrayal, which wasn't even like an actual wrestling game.
mm. But it would
I
have
didn't
been
mean to cut you off.
interesting if they continued down this route. Like, if you can imagine, like a Fire Pro game on like the PSP and other handhelds and stuff. That would have been like I said, I think it's a great idea to differentiate yourself from the WWE games at the time.
There was a pro wrestling, it was just called Pro Wrestling. I'd seen it listed as King of Coliseum, but I think that was just people jacking off. But there was a wrestling game listed for the DS with Spike as a publisher that was slated for release in 2005, and then nothing ever came of it.
It's a shame.
So I've always wondered, was like that's supposed to be like a Fire Pro DS game? How does Fire Pro work on the DS? Do they try to lean into the gimmick with the touchscreen? If they do, I don't know how good that's going to be, or that would have been. But everything with this game just fucking works. Like if you've played Fire Pro, you can pick this up, and it's like, yeah, this is Fire Pro. It's the most reliable wrestling video game series ever.
Mm.
Like you know what you're getting. There's no like fiddle fucking around. There's no second guessing. Like this game, I said it on Blue Sky, but like as of when this game came out in the summer of '01, this was probably the best wrestling game ever released in the US.
That's fair to say. Yeah.
Like I love Revenge. I like No Mercy a lot. I like SmackDown 1 and 2, but in terms of like depth, there's no contest.
Yeah, I mean it's literally just Fire Pro on handheld. Like there's, as you said, you don't really have to learn anything new if you've played them before. And if you're someone that's you're just coming into the series, like how like I was with G, it's kind of mind blowing when you see what they have to offer and the different rosters and everything, and it opens up a whole new world to you. It's crazy.
Yeah, like it can't be overstated how many people I know that like they got into Fire Pro because of either the Game Boy Advance games or the US port or localization of Returns. And it was like the gateway moment for like everything for them. And God, I love this game so much. In everything's there, like the abilities, criticals. There's a gruesome match type, like everything you would want as of like early '01 in a Fire Pro game. It's there, and it's basically 1-to-1.
Yeah.
It's got blood. It is a Game Boy Advance. The ECW game on Game Boy Color didn't even have blood. And that's the one that should have.
Yeah,
And like
it's
that blew my mind the first time I noticed it. I think I was fighting like the Sheik or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, there's red on like my character's face. There actually is blood in this game. What the fuck?"
yeah, it's just super impressive what they were able to do. As you said, there's like basically nothing missing. It's kind of crazy, and I know I've talked about it a lot, like how WCW versus World and World Tour, and then Vipro G were like my door opening moments. But definitely, there was a lot of people I remember back in the day on GameFAQs who discovered the GBA game and yeah, changed everything for them as well. And it was really cool to see. And it's a shame maybe today people aren't as open minded about other wrestling and stuff like that, despite everything being so easy to access these days.
It's very unfortunate because like you would think the current like wrestling climate would be ideal
Mm.
for a game like Fire Pro, and it's it just feels like nothing's gonna ever get us back into the fucking. We got Fire Pro World because of a petition during a time when Japanese wrestling was much more like alive than it is now. And make no mistake about it, the Japanese audience was a big part of it, but they saw all of the Western fans that were like, "Oh my god, I'd buy a new Fire Pro," and then most of them didn't.
Here's my question: with the amount of people that played the GBA games or returns, and that was a big discovery. Why is there still so many people chasing the Aki games? I mean, when you look at Fire Pro and the roster amount and stuff like that, let's say somebody independently wanted to make something that was inspired by Fire Pro, like, and you did it like a 2D game instead of a 3D game, you could have an absolutely massive default roster. And you could represent all these different styles in 2025, and like if you
The
can imagine,
easy
like,
answer
yeah,
is the Aki games are canonized in the West as being the best wrestling games. The
true.
Fire Pro series was you had to be an import gamer to know about it. And for whatever reason, the people that really like the Aki games, a lot of them like looked at the import gamers as snobs because you're playing a Japanese game. Like, yeah, yeah, so are you. You're just playing it with an American roster, dumbass.
Yeah, if you could think though, like if someone made, or even if it was like a new Fire Pro, but like if you took like World, but you had like an expansive default roster and all like the workshop moves that people have added in, and that was just like all the default stuff, that'd be pretty fucking crazy. And possibly new match types and stuff like that. I almost don't want to think about it because it makes me depressed, but there'd be an opportunity to do something really cool.
I know that Matsumoto really wants to make a wrestling game that has 3D character models. I
Yeah,
haven't had Twitter in months, so I haven't TM'd with him at all. But like that Fire Pro 35th thing, and I swear we're going to talk about Fire Pro 2 as well. But like that Fire Pro 35th thing was him throwing the Hail Mary, and the community didn't fucking show up for it.
no,
And I said this at the time, but I really it bears repeating. All of the fuckers are like, "Oh, they Kid of Coliseum 3." Yeah, that's not helpful. It's not helpful. We're never getting KOC 3.
Yeah, I
There's
don't think
not a, that
people
game
realize
died a
how.
death financially.
Yeah, you're not
Like
gonna get anything like that these days. You'd have to do like everybody in the game would have to be like an edit.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
you
there are
can't do
people
anything
that
like
would tell you like they would be fine with a rip-off roster, but let a KOC 3 come out with a roster of rip-offs, see how fucking happy they'd be about it. Because I guarantee most of them would bitch.
that. Right, yeah.
Like we had a moment in time where we could have fucking got ourselves a new Fire Pro game, and then we shit the bed. But in 2002, we got a new Fire Pro game.
Hmm.
In June, Final Fire Pro released in Japan on the Game Boy Advance, obviously. A month later, we got Fire Pro Wrestling 2. Before we get into roster differences and like the fact that they cut out like tournament modes and stuff, I have to note this. The one big key difference between these two games is that Fire Pro 2 had management of the ring. To my mind, this is the best GM mode type mode we have ever gotten in a wrestling game. I was upset that Fire Promoter strayed so far from this. Everybody that says they think SVR GM mode is the best is smoking fucking crack. Everybody who likes my GM is smoking fucking crack. This this has everything you would need, especially for that era of Japanese wrestling where there was such a reliance on co-promotion because that was the one almost guaranteed way to draw was for everybody to work together to combat the deflating bubble plus the inflating bubble of MMA and just the general economic downturn that was going on. You can borrow talent. You can lend your talent to other promotions. You can attempt to establish working agreements. You can challenge promotions to like these 5 match shows where if you win the majority of the matches, you win, you get a popularity boost. You can take their titles from them. They can challenge you to shows. They can offer guys to you. You can send
Yeah,
scouts out to discover certain wrestlers of a certain style, and that's how you unlock hidden characters.
it was
Like,
very funny last night to see Sting win the Dragon Gate title. Um, but what I think about this mode too is that it's just a lot more visually appealing than any other like management or GM modes out there. Even WWE
agreed.
2K25, it's just like the sort of cartoony uh what was I gonna say, like images and stuff like that are just, it just visually just looks more appealing. I spent way too much time on this last night. I started playing it. The next thing I looked at, I was like, it seems to be getting pretty late. I looked at the clock, it was like 3 o'clock. I was like, oh shit. Um, yeah, it's just really cool. The idea, as you brought up, like the co-promotion of Japanese promotions at the time and stuff like that, just makes a lot of sense to what's available in this mode and like the challenge cards and stuff like that. It's just really fun, and it's hard to stop once you get started, as proven by last night. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
And what I thought was really interesting was if you win the mode as like All Japan, you unlock Noah. If
Hmm.
you win the mode as 0-1, you unlock New Japan. If you win the mode as WCW, you unlock the WWF. I think if you beat the mode as rings, you unlock Pride. That's a pretty cool way to incentivize like replayability because the bigger promotions, the ones you unlock, they have way more fucking money,
Yeah,
which allows you to wild the hell out like right when that mode starts, and it is awesome. My go-to is always to sign away Vader because when you get the challenges from like Oyama or Hickson Gracie or I know Guts Ishimas is in this game. I don't remember if I've ever been challenged by him, but once you get the challenges from like the hidden characters, you just book him against Vader. There's like a 95% success rate because I don't know if you've looked at the clock, but it's fucking Vader time all the time.
he's my
But specifically when
WCW champion, and he's beaten, yeah, everyone. He killed Dragon Kid, which was pretty fun.
I booked him against, so I challenged Dragon Gate. I was playing as WCW, and I just absentmindedly put Vader in a match and was like, "Oh, do you want this to be for a title?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do."
I assume
And
like
Shima got critical.
I was getting a lot of requests from Dragon Gate as well, and and then we established a working relationship. I assume that's because of Ultimo Dragon. Like maybe that's their thought process. Like it's easier to establish a relationship with Dragon Gate if you're WCW because of him.
Maybe I threw the Hail Mary like one time, and I established a working agreement with the WWF when they were my rival, and it still said rival on the screen. I don't know if I exploited some fucking glitch in the matrix with that, but like it should also be noted you can buy the merchandise for your promotion, and it's a
Yeah.
way if you're popular, like you'll sell a bunch of merch. You can buy like the time slot on like local, regional, national, global TV. You get to pick the size of the venues, the form of advertisement. Um, you can buy like doctors and stuff, so like injuries don't happen as often or guys recover more quickly. It's super in depth. And then in Fire Promoter and World, they added the ability to like repair or upgrade stuff, but they fucked the whole mode up because you can't just play as New Japan.
Mm.
You have to play as like a dog shit promotion that nobody wants to sign for, and Fire Promoter is ridiculous. This is exactly what they should have just carried this over verbatim. Like I love this mode so fucking much. And I
What?
wish there was a way we could have gotten all of the extra guys from GBA Fire Pro 2 in this mode, because I would have made it my life's mission to sign Brock away from the WWF and book him against Vader. That would have been the main event of every show.
Yeah. What was the
Uh,
returns called again?
Matchmaker.
Matchmaker. It was just Matchmaker. One thing I really liked about that is that if you book like let's say the four members of Kai Tai DX together, it would come up like, oh, reunion of the stable and stuff like that. I thought that was like a really neat idea, which I didn't see in this. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think it's an actual thing in this. But I really love that. It's just like a fun Easter egg for anyone that was a fan of, the actual promotions or the actual stables, and the game acknowledged that. I thought it was like super super cool. That would be like the only thing that I would really have added to this mode, like for Fire Promoter, if they were gonna, make any other improvements, that would be something I would have added.
So, in looking at the WWF roster in both versions, uh, this is I don't even know how I want to go about talking about these rosters, because like it's beyond just the names being different. Like the WWF roster in Fire Pro 2, in terms of like the renames right here, it's like smaller.
Hmm.
Um, I will say a lot of the roster of the previous game comes over, but for the US market specifically, I'll give you the roster we got. Um, Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, Triple H, Kurt Angle, Kane, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Big Show, Edge, Booker T, William Regal, Diamond Dallas Page, Eddie Guerrero, X Pac, Goldust, Brock Lesnar, The Hardys, Vince and Shane McMahon, Lita, Stacy Keibler, Trish Stratus, Shawn Michaels, Mankind, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Goldberg, Sting, Road Warriors, Outsiders, Muta, Bret Hart, Steiner Brothers, Randy Savage, Bam Bam Bigelow, Juventud Guerrera, Sabu, Rob Van Dam, Mike Awesome, the Dudley Boys, the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, Tajiri, Rey Mysterio, Dusty Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, Ultimate Warrior, Davey Boy Smith, China, Harley Race, Jimmy Snuka, Rick Rude, Rocky Balboa, which was he's just guts Ishimas. Batman, Robin, and then a giant fucking bear. So those are the characters that are exclusive. Not even exclusive. Those are just the characters that are in the US version. A couple of them are exclusives.
Yeah, is that like the only appearance of like Edge, for example? I can't remember him being in any other Fire Pro.
Yeah, it's I think the only appearance of Edge. It
Like
might
Stacy
be,
Keibler.
yeah. Trish, I don't think's in Fire Pro D. Lita, I don't think is in Fire Pro D.
No.
Obviously it's the only Fire Pro appearance of Brock. It's got to be the only appearance of Sandman and Dreamer, right? I don't think they were Fire Pro D guys, like
Mm,
DLC guys.
They were like, I think they were edits, and or at least Dreamer was in G, if I remember correctly, but they weren't a part of the default roster. Was Dreamer in D?
No, he's
No,
he's
no,
for
no,
sure
he
not in
wasn't.
D.
I think maybe he was an edit in that as well. Could be
And
wrong.
I I need to look and see if China's in Fire Pro Z. Um,
I'm pretty sure she's in D. She might be in Returns too, actually.
So she's in Fire Pro Z.
Oh, she's in Z. Okay.
Because remember she was contemporary. She was doing the thing in New Japan at that time.
Right. That's why I thought maybe she was in Returns, but she would have been gone by that point.
Yeah. So I'll read the Japanese roster now, just because I'm right here and I'm looking at it. And you're gonna hear a lot of names you heard me read like 15 minutes ago. Tatsumi Fujinami, Riki Choshu, Masa Saito, Kensuke Sasaki, Yuji Nagata, Manabu Nakanishi, Kazuyo Yamazaki, Shiro Koshinaka, Kengo Kimura, Super Strong Machine, Osamu Nishimura, Takashi Iizuka, Osamu Kido, Yutaka Yoshie, Kenzo Suzuki, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Don Frey, Dick Murdoch, Salman Hashimikov, Super J, Kotetsu Yamamoto, Tiger Mask, Jushin Thunder Liger, Masahito Kakihara, Minoru Tanaka, and Masayuki Naruse. You got Masahiro Chono, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, Tatsutoshi Goto, Hiro Saito, Scott Norton, Giant Silva, Giant Singh, Koji Kanemoto, Akira, Jado Geto, Giant Baba, Jumbo Tsuruta, Keiji Muto, Genichiro Tenyu, Toshiaki Kawada, Satoshi Kojima, Hiroshi Hase, The Great Kabuki, Hiroshi Wajima, Mitsuya Nagai, Nobutaka Araya, Stan Hansen, Steve Williams, Abdullah the Butcher, The Sheik, Gary Albright, Bart Gunn, Taiyo Johnny Smith, Giant Kamala, Wolf Hogfield, Masanobu Fuchi, Kendo Kashin, Mitsuharu Misawa, Kenta Kobashi, Jun Akiyama, Yoshihiro Takayama, Takayo Omori, Kiritale, Tamon Honda, Yoshinari Ogawa, Akitoshi Saito, Daisuke Ikeda, Masao Inoue, Kentaro Shiga, Takeshi Rikio, Takeshi Morishima, Jun Izumida, Mohamed Yone, Takashi Sugiura, Vader, Naomichi Marufuji, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Tsuyoshi Kikuchi, and Mike Modest, Shinya Hashimoto, Shinjiro Otani, Masato Tanaka, Mark Kerr, Tom Howard, Gerard Gordeau, Tatsuhito Takaiwa, Antonio Inoki, Naoya Ogawa, Kazuyuki Fujita, Tado Yasuda, Kazunari Murakami, Hiromichi Fuyuki, Hayabusa, Mr. Ganasuke, Tetsuhiro Kuroda, Kitaro Kinemura, Mamo Sasaki, Hisakatu Oya, Gomon, Riki Fuji, Jinsei Shinzaki, The Great Sasuke, Gran Hamada, Dick Togo, Tiger Mask 4, Curryman, Ultimo Dragon, Shima, Magnum Tokyo, Sua, Masaki Mochizuki, Don Fuji, Dragon Kid. I'm going to read the American roster just because of how goddamn big the WWF is, and there's guys that I didn't mention in the previous reading. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Triple H, Kane, Shawn Michaels, Mankind, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Rob Van Dam, Big Show, Bob Backlund, Booker T, William Regal, Diamond Dallas Page, Mike Awesome, The Dudleys, The British Bulldogs, Tajiri, Taka Michinoku, X-Pac, Vincent Shane McMahon, Stacy Keibler, Trish Stratus, Goldberg, The Road Warriors, Sting, The Great Muta, Bret Hart, The Steiner Brothers, Randy Savage, Bam Bam Bigelow, Juventud Guerrera, Mil Mascaras, Dos Caras Jr., El Hijo del Santo, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio Jr., Dr. Wagner Jr., Black Tiger 3, which was Silver King, Negro Casas, Akira Maeda, Tsuyoshi Kosake, Hiromitsu Kanehara, Volkan, Tariel Bitsads, Andrei Kopylov, Mascots Funaki, Sanai Kikuta, Minoru Suzuki, Yoshiki Takahashi, Yuki Kondo, Ikihisa Minoa, Sami Schilt, Nobuhiko Takada, Kazushi Sakuraba, Nobuhisa Yamamoto, Antonio Rodrigo Noguera, Mark Coleman, Igor Vovchanchin, Gary Goodrich, Vanderlei Silva, Hickson Gracie, Alexander Karelin, Roland Bach, Ken Shamrock Foster, Ernesto Hoost, Peter Eretz, Mirko Krokop, Jerome Labanner, Francisco Filio, I'm sorry, Hoist Gracie, Henzo Gracie, Atsushi Onita, Kiyoshi Tamura, Yoshiaki Fujiwara, Yoshiaki Yatsu, Koji Katal, Yoji Anjo, Michiyoshi Ohara, Yuki Shikawa, Alexander Otsuka, uh, Hiromitsu Matsunaga, Tarzan Goto, Taichi Kari. Yeah, I think Taichi Hikari. My bad. Shoji Nakamaki, Terry Funk, Tiger Jeet Singh, Dory Funk Jr., Johnny Ace, Sabu, Leatherface, Freddy Krueger, Super Delphin, Takahiro Murahama, Masaru Orihara, Grand Naniwa, Riki Dozan, Carl Gosh, Luthez, Killer Khan, Bruiser Brody, Andre the Giant, Bruce Lee, Masatatsu Oyama, Guts Ishimas, uh, Nanakai Ryu. It's a sumo wrestler. Kyoko Tamura, Everett Eddy, the Monster Man, Chuck Norris, Raja Lion, and Kazuhiro Kiyohara, who I believe is a baseball player that um, was rumored to be signing up for a Pride fight. So like you'll get challenged by him, management of the ring.
I'm looking forward to reading the transcript of this podcast to see how many names they fuck up.
Oh God, probably all of them because I started talking really fast. Everybody in that legend stable will challenge or are in play to challenge you in management of the ring, depending on the style of promotion, and there's other factors, I guess, also.
The big
You
question is,
also get challenged by Hicks and Gracie, but you know.
why the hell did they not include this in the American version?
So the conventional wisdom of the era, and I think this was confirmed in an interview with BAM Entertainment, was they did not think it was a good fit for the American audience. Basically, the idea was like the average kid playing this is going to be too stupid to figure this out.
What about everyone else?
Yeah, fucking I don't know, man. I would have dug this mode when I was 11.
It makes the American version feel like a rip-off because it was such a big part of the Japanese, you know? It's like you could just spend forever on that mode, and it's such a huge thing to omit.
And what we got as a replacement in the American version is a literal beat everyone mode.
Yeah.
Um I've never completed this. It is too much of a gauntlet. I just do all wrestler clear and get on with my life.
Mm.
Like it is a fucking mad dash. They also in Fire Pro 2, both versions, I'm pretty sure, they got rid of round robin tournaments. You just have single elimination now.
Right.
Um which that's something that should be noted. In matchmaker mode, you can book like regular single and tag matches, or you can do a card of death matches or gruesome fights, or you can do a tournament with any of those particular match arrangements. If you do a tournament, that's your entire show.
Mhm.
There's no like non-tournament matches. You get 5 slots. I pray that you use all 5 slots, and the more popular guys need to be booked higher on the card because it helps like the ticket sales and also helps with the morale because your top guy doesn't want to be in the fucking opening match. It's not. This isn't a WWE simulator. You don't book a hot main event and a hot opener and then fuck all in the middle. I love management of the ring mode. It is again, it's my favorite like matchmaker type mode in any wrestling game ever. I think when they brought my GM back, they obviously looked at aspects of this. Like there's like weird little like fingerprints of like the AEW mobile GM game and like this and Fire Promoter and like the previous GM modes like all over my GM. The problem is it doesn't work like this.
I was a
Most management modes don't work as well as this.
big fan of the matchmaker in King of Colosseum 2 as well. It was
Yeah,
good.
that one's really good. I just wish we had a translation of it.
Yeah, it was a good snapshot of the Japanese wrestling at the time because you'd play like all Japan, and then suddenly you'd have like a Wrestle One show, and you'd have access to wrestlers you wouldn't normally have and stuff like that. It was a neat idea.
And like if you were playing as Noah, you would randomly get like Rick Steiner.
Yeah,
Yeah, that stuff was always like really neat about the KOC2 mode. I just not having a translation patch limited my enjoyment of it. I have seen the ending though. Like if you get the good ending and the crowd's all like chanting the
yeah,
name
the
of the
promotion's
promotion,
name.
that's
Yeah,
really fucking cool. But both of these games are interesting. They're snapshots of like the respective time period they were released in, especially like the US version because like yeah, there's Brock on the WWF roster. And like it still blew my mind in '02 that there was a WCW roster. They'd been gone for a year. But I guess like what were you gonna do? But then like the ECW guys had a fucking promotion too, XWA,
mm.
which in the Japanese version is XPW. But I love these games. I wouldn't be as weird and pathetic as this is to say I wouldn't be where I am as a wrestling fan
do you want to
without these games.
read the review that I wrote when I was like 14 or 15?
Oh yeah, hold on. Yeah, I thank you. I forgot about that.
This is going to be
Um,
embarrassing because I haven't read this since I probably wrote it.
do you want me to link you to it so you can read it, or do you want me to read
You read it.
it?
I'm on my
Okay.
phone, so it'd be easier for you to read it.
Don't even think this is the same game. Reviewed by Liger Busa, July 27th, 02, updated July 28th. Uh, caps lock up top, fix up of previous review, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Graphics. The graphics in this game are nothing special, and they never really have in the Fire Pro series. If you played Fire Pro G, then you know what the game looks like. While this game may not have the look of Road to WrestleMania X8, it's the gameplay that counts at the end. There are some nice animated pictures which help you guide through the management of the ring mode, which I will talk about later. I don't have an issue with any of that. That's all pretty fair.
So Road to
Um,
WrestleMania X8 was out at the time?
no, it was coming out a couple of months after this,
Oh, okay.
or a couple of months after the Japanese release. Let me check this real quick because
Right, because this is
yeah, so
the this is
this
your
came
review
out
of
in July.
Final Fire
Yeah,
Pro. Yeah.
and Fire Pro 2 came out in September of '02. So I might have said it
Okay.
was June and then July. I was wrong. I apologize. Um, sounds, once again, nothing special. The theme music is kind of like MIDI music, kind of. Um, I believe some of the themes are from Fire Pro G, although the sounds might not be the best. They're not that bad. Wrong use of there. It should be the one with the Y apostrophe
Oh
R.
no, I'll go fix that.
Fuck no. Um, gameplay. The soul of Fire Pro has always been the gameplay. It still has the great controls and moves that made the series famous. There's various options, including electrified cages and octagon rings, although the color has been changed to yellow to avoid issues with the UFC. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the American game, isn't it just a regular fucking ring?
I think so. I never tried it in the American one because I knew it was changed some way.
New moves has been added, including the move of 2001, the Shining Wizard. I could go on and on about how great the gameplay is, but most people already know how good it is. Oh
Very
Jesus
detailed.
Christ! All of these are like small paragraphs, and it's like the other, and it's just like I feel like I'm reading the Observer. Jesus Christ! It's a fucking wall of text. All right, other. Here we go. First thing I have to talk about is the management of the ring mode. This allows you to create or manage an existing company. It mostly lasts up to 5 years, but there's so much you can do. You can have interpromotional matches with another company, but you have to choose your wrestlers wisely because if you have made a challenge to say Michinoku Pro and you selected Vader, the Emperor fans might not like the match that much. During the interpromotional matches, you can win their promotions titles. Also, management of the ring. You can spend money on producing action figures and other items and training equipment. You can sign TV deals for regional, national, or worldwide coverage. You can sign wrestlers or just for a one-time appearance. You can also send your wrestlers to other companies or overseas for more training. But yeah, that's the thing we didn't mention. You can do like the whole excursion thing in this game.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Sending your scouts to other countries plays a big part in the game. Depending on what style you are looking for and in what country, your scouts can unlock hidden wrestlers. A unique way to unlock new wrestlers. That's just a standalone sentence. Management of the Ring is very fun and adds so much to the game. It's like having a 3D version of your favorite simulator.
What?
The game's 2D, bud.
Yeah, I don't know what I was talking about. I was like 14, give me a break.
Yeah, I'm just giving you shit. You have to be careful in Management of the Ring, though, because one or more wrestlers may jump ship and land in another fed. There's also things in Management of the Ring, like interviews on TV shows, advertising for your next card, tournaments to determine your champion, and more. It really adds a lot to the game, and let's hope we continue to see it in grow in other Fire Pro games. Of course, the great Creator Wrestler returns. Creator Wrestler, motherfucker! Returns with with the loads of moves and other options. Fire Pro has always had a great caw since the SNES days, bro. You,
uh,
you think you know some people, man. One problem with the Japanese version is that the American wrestlers like Booker T and The Rock are not the proper colors.
specifically Booker T and The Rock. Huh.
Specifically that wording. I get what you mean, and I probably got what you meant when I was like 11. Like, I'm not reading ahead. I'm going one word at a time. And that was Jesus. They usually are on the Japanese version, but I guess Spike just wanted to help Bam out a bit. Yeah, that's another thing we didn't mention. In the default, like you can get a patch version that like has a bunch of quote unquote corrected attires. Really, it's like they try to make everybody look more contemporary.
Mm.
You can get a translated patch for Final Fire Pro, but if you're trying to play the regular version, unlike Fire Pro A, the WWF and WCW guys are not in corrected colors here, and I think it's because there was like the threat of a lawsuit. That's what I've always heard, at least.
Yeah, that's what I remember hearing at the time. It was weird though that it made it over to the Japanese version because he didn't seem to really give a shit most of the time. But maybe,
Well,
like I said,
also,
yeah, go
the
ahead.
Americans are gone from Fire Pro Z. There's no WWF roster in that game.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Like you get the Fire Pro Z guidebook, and there's like, here's how you create, The Rock and Steve Austin and those guys, but it's clear somebody reached out because it has a very noticeable effect on the series going forward.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
hope I hope you found this review helpful, and I hope everyone is psyched for the English version. Spike continues to prove that they have so much pro res love.
Hell yeah.
9 out of 10 to say this game is almost the exact same as the previous version is absurd. While there have not been many moves added to the game, there is a brand new mode that hasn't been in any wrestling game before that will keep you busy for hours.
That's true.
I'm gonna assume like just nobody knew because I didn't for years about the third All Japan game that like the whole gimmick is like a booking mode
Yeah.
because it seemed like even in like the late 2000s on Fire Pro Club, like there were people that didn't know there were more than one Super Famicom All Japan game.
No, nobody ever really talked about them.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked myself when I found out that there were not only just All Japan games on the Super Famicom. It always felt like I heard more about the New Japan one. I guess that makes sense. The New Japan games had like they had more American wrestlers that you would have heard of in them because like the Steiner brothers are in, or they're in Battle 7, right? Or are they in Battlefield 94? Are they in both?
They might be in both. I think the thing too was like there was no ports of the New Japan games, but for All Japan we had Natsume, so I think a lot of
Mm.
people just assumed that there wasn't much difference, or there wasn't another version. There was just the one game. So none of them really bothered to really look into the All Japan games.
Yeah, that actually could be it. There was like a lot of like weird discovery being made in the import game scene. You were on Fire Pro Club in the late 2000s. There
Mhm.
were points when like people discovered there was like a weird collector's edition of Tokon Retsuden 3, but nobody ever fucking ended up figuring out what the difference was.
Yeah, I still don't know what the difference is.
And like there's the Noah like management game that I've never heard anyone
Right.
talk about.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't remember that at all until you just mentioned it.
In like online pro wrestling was like a complete fucking void for years because a lot of the import gamers are like, well, it's a Japanese game, but it's still SmackDown. So it's like turn their nose to it. And it's like there's a lot to like about that game if you're like an import gamer.
Well, I had a copy of it, like a legit copy, but it wouldn't work. And I don't know if you actually needed like the online component hooked up or whatever, but like anytime I tried to do like the swap disk method, it was just be a black screen and it wouldn't do anything. So I was never actually able to play it until emulation.
Yeah, honestly, me too. Cause I got an ISO for that game. I want to say like oh 07, oh 08, and it wouldn't fucking work no matter what I
Yeah.
did. Playing these games also reminded me of like that era of like the import wrestling game scene. God, I'm just gonna be nostalgic this whole episode. Um, because it felt like, and maybe you felt this way, like when you discovered these games, but it felt like you were stepping into kind of like a secret society of people that like we all understand and agree what a good wrestling game is here, and it wasn't just the one idea because there were always the people like the pockets of the import community that liked the SmackDown games. There were always the pockets of the import community that still liked the American released Aki games. But when you got to like the nitty gritty, like you're digging deep with like champion wrestler type stuff, and
Right.
like there was like a whole world because like there were 9 million fucking Japanese wrestling games in the '90s.
Yeah, there was I can't remember what I traded someone, but I traded something and the student in return sent me like burn copies of like Token Retsuden 3, Champion Wrestler, Silver Champion, like a bunch of different games, and that was a huge discovery to me because I hadn't played any of these at the time. I'd probably just played Fire Pro, so to find all that stuff was like mind blowing, and it really did feel like a secret society too. Because like when I started learning about Fire Pro and stuff, I was posting on the Fire Pro IRC channel with a bunch of delinquents and stuff like that. So it did feel like that. And they were a lot of them were nasty people. But then like discovering the Fire Pro Club and stuff like that was yeah, you felt like you needed like a membership to get in or something.
And there's a lot of gatekeeping going on,
Yeah.
especially on Fire Pro Club in like 0506.
I remember like
Like,
emailing someone about Fire Pro for something and then found out that he was in the college, um, like the city like 15 minutes away, which I don't think was the same guy that worked at the microplay down the street. It was like two different people, and that sort of blew my mind too. I was like, "What? There's other people that play these games around me? How's that possible?" Because I remember calling that, and I think I've told this story before, but calling that microplay and being like, have you guys got like 6-man scramble or might have been G at the time, whatever?" And they're like, isn't that important?" I was like, "Yeah." So do you have it? And they're like, "No, we don't have imports." And yeah, it was just crazy, like finding other people that had these games that you're not supposed to know about. I guess you could say.
yeah, like I've made a lot of goddamn friends through like import wrestling games, and it all starts with these games.
Hmm.
Again, I'm not in that game facts board in 0102 getting called horrible things if I don't get Fire Pro 1 when it comes out. Like I I also want to know, like, if you're playing Fire Pro 2 for the GBA, uh some of the guys don't have like necessarily accurate finishing moves. Like Brock does not have the F5. That doesn't actually make its series debut until returns.
Yeah.
So like there's some moveset weirdness in there, but I fuck it, dude. Like we didn't get him in the regular like console Fire Pro games or whatever, so
Mm.
whatever. It's
I,
like the
I think
roster
too.
is so oh gone.
I was just gonna say, I think that's an unrelated, not unrelated, but like something that people don't bring up as much when it comes to like world that makes it so impressive is that creating moves and the ability to add moves that aren't in the game. Like there's nothing else that lets you do that. Like there's no create a move in like any of the SmackDown games or WWE anymore. So the fact that you can add anything that's not in there and you don't have to, if the F5's not there, you don't have to give them like a Death Valley driver or something like that. I think that's really uh an aspect of return or sorry world that people don't bring up enough is the ability to like have moves that have never been available before and stuff like that. And I wish people would recognize that more.
Yeah. This series is the goddamn best.
It is. It
I
truly
uh
is.
I love KOC 2, and that's like my favorite wrestling game ever, but there's like 3 games in that series. There's like fucking 30 Fire Pro games.
Yeah.
At some point volume does win out. And honestly, like Fire Pro A is near the top of my favorite Fire Pro games. And a lot of it's nostalgia, but like great roster. It's got the great gameplay. It has leagues and tournaments. I just wish like we could have management of the ring one game early.
Yeah.
Because like if Fire Pro A had management of the ring, it'd be my favorite wrestling game ever.
I think there would have been a lot more talk and replayability if with the English version if it had management of ring. It's a shame they didn't get that. I think I don't know if my friend bought the first one, but I think like if management of ring was in the second one, he would have bought it. Would have gotten a lot more value out of it. But it's a real shame that they removed that. Obviously, like they were gearing towards kids, but like it's not just kids that play these games, so you could have had that in there. But what are you gonna do?
And it also should be noted, BAM Entertainment doesn't exist a whole lot longer after this comes out, I'm pretty sure.
No.
And we've talked about it a bunch on the show, like King of Colosseum was slated for an American release at some point. It was announced by BAM Entertainment. Fire Pro was supposed to have a GameCube port of what game, I'm not entirely fucking sure, but it was announced by BAM Entertainment. Neither of those ended up coming out, obviously. And of the two, the one I'm more interested about in honestly is like, what does GameCube Fire Pro look like?
Yeah, that's it's hard to picture playing a Fire Pro game on the GameCube, especially with that controller.
Like, yeah, how the hell do you do like the square and X moves when the A button's that goddamn big?
Yeah,
Like, how does that work? What does the Z button do in that game? You
I
know,
can't
like
even.
I have all these like weird logistical type questions about how certain things would work in that game. I mean, I'd like to see what the localized KOC would look like because what do you do there?
That's another interesting one. Like, what do you do? I mean, there's so many licensed wrestlers in that game. It's not like, for example, like Tokon Ratsuden, where you have a smaller roster and you can change them quite easily. You've got so many licensed guys. Like, God, I don't know.
Like, do they try keeping the All Japan and New Japan
I
licenses in
couldn't.
there? Do they?
I couldn't see that. Like, I don't think that's something that Old Japan and New Japan would have been interested in at the time. And
Yeah,
like,
I
I
don't
don't think
know.
they would have been interested in paying for that too.
Yeah, potentially not. Yeah.
Maybe you just like take all the edits and spread them out and change like the colors even more and stuff like that. And well, what do you do with the commentary as well? Do you just take the commentary out completely, or do you try to get like English voices or something?
Do you hit up Tony Schiavone
Ah, that'd be
and Larry
interesting.
Zbyszko and all those other fucking guys?
Yeah, had them in that instead of like Showdown or something.
Yeah, I mean, well, they might have actually gotten paid. Well, no, Bam Entertainment was going under. They might not have gotten paid
You
for the
got
same
like
reason they didn't really get paid in Showdown.
Chris Chris Cruz and like Terry Taylor doing commentary.
God, no, I would prefer if Chris Cruz was run over by a truck.
Hey,
That
he's the
guy
voice of
sucks,
WCW
man.
Pro.
Well, he really thought he was the lead commentator on that One Worlds Collide pay per view too. I watched
Mm,
that back and just, uh, great show. Mike Tenay did great on commentary that night, but like,
I have
man,
the
I don't know.
I have like the countdown show of that downloaded somewhere. I like downloading those because they're just weird things to have. Like I would always, when I was a kid, I always would record the countdown show as well because of like it's part of the kind of part of the pay per view. And sometimes the WWF free for all would have a match on, so that was included. And so anytime when I like download old pay per views and stuff, I like to get those as well. And there's a bunch of WCW ones floating around and stuff, and I always try to find them.
I like having the pre-shows for stuff. I would back in the tape trading days, I would kind of actively be like, please don't send me shit if it doesn't have the pre-show.
Especially if it was an extra match. Like it never felt complete to me if that match wasn't included because I mean it's at the same show.
Yeah, I never liked when people would be like, I have the pay-per-view in excellent quality. Okay. Where's the pre-show?
Yeah.
Just and also with like some of the older shows, like the what do you call it, like the late 80s pay-per-views, there's promos on the countdown shows that are just not available elsewhere.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I'd give me the pre-shows. It pisses me off that they're not included on like Peacock and the network. Like you have that shit. Why are you sitting on it?
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of the time, I mean, when Sunday Night Heat debuted, I mean that whole thing was just the preview show.
Yeah, but there was also the alternate pre-show on the pay-per-view channel, and those are kind of lost now because people prioritized, and they should have. I'm not saying they shouldn't have, but people prioritized recording Heat over the actual pay-per-view pre-show.
Yeah, it was the same thing with WCW main event as well.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yep.
So yeah, highest recommendation possible to all of the Fire Pro games, honestly. If you've never played them, I question why you're listening to a show called Critical. Um, but even if you have played them, they're absolutely worth playing again, especially Fire Pro A. Obviously, Management of the Ring is great. I would hope that there's a translated patch out there that doesn't fuck with the attires other than recoloring the WWF ones, but I've not been able to find one. Um, but Management of the Ring is essential. So even if that's like your only option, like absolutely fucking play it.
Yeah.
They're two of the best wrestling games ever. Uh, American Fire Pro 2 is that's like a solid like 7 out of 10 because they gutted the one thing that would have made that game an all time great game.
Mm.
And it was all in service to fucking not giving those dumb Americans a fucking mode they might not understand. Maybe if they had a better localization staff, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, maybe.
Um, Wrestling video game news. I don't know how much there actually is. We're in like the dead zone. 2K has come out, and
They
I
they released a patch with bunch of fixes and like the new NXT titles and the Saturday Night's Main Event arena and nothing special.
yeah, I think we talked about that because I think I shit on how bad the Saturday Night's Main Event arena looked.
They've added I noticed in the files they had like added folders for like Bull Nakano, but there's no actual model and like I was going through the music and they had Julia's theme in there. So they're starting to add that stuff in, but it's not available yet. And in the files I did see what's the status posted Mark Henry Hall of Pain was in there. But yeah, I mean it's the mods tools are out now and there's mods available. There's a tool that lets you convert mods from previous games into 2K25, which is pretty damn cool. That wasn't the thing before, so you can just pull something that if nobody's made it from this year, you can pull it from last year or the year before. Um, so that's really neat. I mean, the mods add a lot. I've said it before, but like having a bunch of wrestlers that weren't in the game or from different time periods and all sorts of shit, like it's really cool. And when especially when you add the graphics and stuff like that, and some other people have made mods for like the 97 Raw, so it takes away like the Raw's Raw logo and adds like a logo for Raw Thursday. And they've made fixes to King of the Rings, who's got like WWF logos and stuff like that. Just things like that, adding to the accuracy and stuff is it adds a lot to it. And I mean that's the reason for me to play these games still is the mods. Um, but if things stay the same next year, I don't know. It's gonna depend on. I mean, I say the roster, but people backport stuff as well. So does the roster even matter next year?
No,
Um, no, not really.
I don't think I have any desire to play a WWE 2K game ever again.
I don't
If I
blame
could be
you,
perfectly honest with you.
unless there's significant changes, which I can't imagine at all. I mean, I talked about it when this game came out, but like you would think and hope that they would be working on something new in the background. That they're like, okay, we've done this enough. We need to do something new, but we know how these games work. Um, the thought of it is nice, but will they actually execute it? It doesn't seem like it. Or even if they had a secondary title, like don't give us something shit like what was it, Brawl? But like
N- No,
no, what was it?
Brawl's the unreleased game. You're thinking of
No, no.
Battlegrounds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't make something shit like that, but if you wanted to do some other idea, if you have something cooking, that would be cool. I miss having secondary titles. Obviously, All Stars was really, really damn good. I mean, stuff like Legends of WrestleMania wasn't very good, but to have a Legends game and to have the option for something else was neat. I miss stuff like that. Everything's just obviously it's just too key on everything now, and it's lame, especially when the business is doing good. Like, why don't you do more stuff? You'd think it would be obvious, but
Budgets.
oh yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, if they're gonna do something else, they're not gonna do. They wouldn't do something smaller scale, right? It's got to be like let's let's spend all the money
It's
we
got to be a
have.
big budget game. Yeah,
Yeah, which is
it's
sad.
stupid.
It's
I
ridiculous.
hate it. I gotta talk about this because a friend of the show sent me a tweet from UPW, and I opened up the fucking browser because I was curious about the replies, and somebody's on the same fucking wavelength as me. They
What's that?
posted like, "Hey, let's spark a fan rush to spread the word about Ultra Pro Wrestling. Tag or quote share someone you know who'd be excited for our spiritual sequel to the Aki all-time classic wrestling games." And then it's just fucking renders of characters we've already seen. You know what might have been a good thing to put with that tweet? Some fun gameplay footage, man. And hold on. Somebody
Yeah.
replies to it, you should put out a brief 30-second gameplay video, new footage. You can't just keep posting artwork and asking poll questions to farm engagement. Are you a year out, 2 years out? Please give us something of substance here, which is what we've been saying for fucking months at this point.
Oh, who was
Like
that
the deep
person?
dive was, huh?
Who was that person that said that?
Their name is Houston Big Three, and then two Longhorn emojis with a cowboy smiling emoji in between it.
I was gonna, because usually the response is just like, "Woo, yeah, #1," and shit like that.
And then somebody replied to him. It was like, "Don't worry, the guys at Hyperfocus Games are working hard every day to complete Ultra Pro Wrestling. For more additional information,
Wait a minute.
I recommend the deep dive from a month ago." The deep dive from a month ago didn't fucking like. It's cool that we got it, but like, what of substance did we see any actual new gameplay footage? No.
Who posted that?
Lenny Wrestling. So
Oh,
like,
I
and
knew it was gonna be him.
he's verified, and it's like, man, we've talked about this a bunch off air and in DMs. Their entire social media and marketing of this game is dog shit. I mean, I haven't said anything really mean about UPW in a long time, and people have been asking me like, when are you gonna like go mask off? Here it is, mask is off. The guy they have running their social media account sucks. These posts suck. This is fucking retromania level bullshit. I understand like not wanting to hold anything back, or not wanting to show stuff and wanting to hold some stuff back for the demo. We don't know when the demo's coming. We have no clue when that demo's coming. We haven't seen anything of substance. Like, okay, we saw the move animations. That's great. Can we see like an actual like? Can we see the move animations connected together so we get a sense of what the moves look like when they're being done?
Mm.
Can we get that? Can we get something beyond these like just fucking stupid bullshit engagement farming posts that, and I could get into what I think about the guy that they have running their account because Jesus Christ. Oh, there was nobody pissing their pants over fucking jabs at the other company during the Monday Night Wars. Go fuck yourself.
He's
I
alright
want
with
this
me.
game to
I
succeed.
mean, I
Uh,
I understand what you're saying, but me and him have had some positive back and forths. Um, I do think that if you're gonna make a post where you're talking about like, hey, let's get some people to talk about it, tag your friends and stuff, then you do have to have something new. And that was my thought process was like, well, if they're doing this, then maybe they have a video coming out soon, but we haven't heard anything. Like I know that they've talked about making a gameplay video. But yeah, we don't have any idea when that's actually gonna come. And
I want this game to succeed, and I
yeah,
hope it's good.
yeah,
That's
of
never
course,
changed. I just think a lot of things about the way it's being fucking promoted on social media and managed is like, what the fuck
you
are you doing?
you shouldn't have to say that too, because people need to realize that criticism doesn't mean you hate something. It just
Well,
means
no,
that
because social media's cooked everybody's brain to where anything negative is a personal attack, even if it's not.
right. Very true. Yeah, you should be allowed to say like, I don't like this, but it doesn't mean you hate it. It's just like, I wish this was better. I wish this aspect was better. Whatever the case may be.
Right.
Um,
I want the game to succeed. I think some of the people involved have been real boneheaded on social media at points, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to buy the game when it comes out.
yeah, exactly.
Like I thought AEW was incredibly boneheaded the entire fucking time with Fight Forever. I think every wrestling promotion I give money to for anything is incredibly boneheaded. Doesn't mean that I necessarily hate all of them.
Yeah, it feels like I've sort of stopped talking about UPW heavily because I am now
There's
in the
nothing to
point where
talk
I'm
about.
well, true, and I'm just like in a waiting pattern. It's like, yeah, and it's like, what do you want me to say? I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to work with. So yeah, it's
I got sent that post and I was like, you couldn't have fucking shown like a render of like demolition. who have been, they're very topical. They're going in the Hall of Fame next week.
Right.
You couldn't show a render of like fucking anybody at this point. Like just showing the artwork or renders of original characters. Like, okay, like you have, hold on, my phone went fucking sleep. You have, what is it? What is this guy's name? You have Americana and Bruno Barbosa. Who the fuck gives a shit about either of those characters? You want me to tag somebody that's going to be interested in this? They're going to look at those guys and go, "Who the fuck are they supposed to be?"
Mm.
No disrespect intended to Hal Haney, who I'm assuming was the one that designed them or anything like that. But if you're going to do engagement farming, you're going to need something for the people that are engaging with the post to go, "Oh shit, that's really cool." Not like, here's some stuff we've already posted 45 times. Again, it's Retromania. That's all this is, and it's fucking annoying.
But to your point there about Retromania has posted a bunch of stuff about Demolition since they're getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, they actually have gameplay of Demolition and stuff on their channels.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy how they were just dead for so long, and now they actually have shit to show. Granted, that DLC is like 5 months off, but like
yeah.
we know there's like a heartbeat there. Like, what's going on with UPW? Like, I understand, and also full disclosure, I understand that making a gameplay trailer takes time away from active development.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. I respect that. But also, we're not on any sort of timetable at this point for a release. The demo's already missed the estimated window, which again, I get. Some shit happens. But like, we don't know when that's coming. Can we get a gameplay video? I said this last week. Can we get a gameplay video? Can we get a match? Just one match.
No,
Like,
I agree.
developer interviews don't do shit for me at this point unless there is B-roll of actual gameplay.
Right. I mean, the first one was interesting because it was sort of like a history of stuff before UPW, and we saw like the game
that stuff was cool.
Before UPW. Oh shit. Oh no, that's right. Oh god, my brain isn't working. Sorry, I thought I said PWX for a second there. Oh jeez. So yeah, seeing the stuff like that how he was working on before and stuff was really cool. But now obviously the focus needs to be fully on UPW, and we do need gameplay. It's been a long while. And we need to see some of these character models. I mean, the only licensed character we saw like the early work on Tully and on Anderson, and then in the showcase we saw
They
Matt
did not
Cardona.
look great.
So yeah, I mean, we need to see some models. I mean, it's
And
been
I
a
need to
long
point this
while.
out at the risk of sounding like I've sounded like an asshole this whole time. I don't care. The last time we saw any substantive gameplay, and I want to note it wasn't even a full match, was before All In 2023. CM Punk was still in AEW. The last time we saw any substantial fucking gameplay footage of this game. I understand games take a long time to develop, small team. I get it. But you can't do this engagement farming bullshit with stuff that's not going to actually catch anybody's attention. I'm sorry, you just can't.
Yeah.
And I understand the business model is to do the characters that are licensed as DLC and do a revenue split. The longer time goes on, the less likely I think people are going to be to care about, like, no matter if the game's good, you need to have like some sort of like mass appeal. And the longer we go on like seeing these same characters over and over again, how many people are going to care that they're going to get a big original roster they can fully customize?
Yeah.
Especially when you see like the giant DLC roster that's going to cost, presumably. And Sam did mention like the price isn't locked in, but like, what's the launch price going to be for UPW? What's the asking price going to be for the DLC? Is there a way to get some of the DLC guys maybe into the base game? Because
Maybe like a pre-order bonus or something like that.
Maybe, or like launch the regular game at like $29 and have like a version with the DLC that's like 40 and you get like 10 guys or something.
That makes sense.
I feel like you need some of those characters in the game, especially like there have been a few guys on their roster that have signed Legends deals recently. I would probably want them to just be included with the game at that point, because WWE is probably going to like Hacksaw Jim Duggan's probably going to end up being DLC. I think he might actually be in 25. I don't have the DLC list in front of me. We know Tito is, and Tito's in this game. So like, once people have, I hate to put it this way, but this is kind of how it is. once people play as Tito Santana in a WWE game, despite the fact he's probably not going to have a remotely accurate moveset, it lessens the impact of having Tito Santana in your game.
Right. Yeah. And like, no disrespect to Tito, but is anyone like be like, oh, I need to see Tito in Aki style? You know, do I need to see him with an Aki style moveset and stuff like that? I don't think that interests like the larger audience. It might interest like a geek like me, but like
And
in the
me.
wide picture, yeah. Um, yeah, it's been too much of a waiting time now. And I check the Discord sometimes, but then I'm like, there's just nothing people here. There's just like people being like, "Woo, UPW and 2K sucks" and stuff like that. And I'm just like,
Well, they're not wrong about 2K.
right. But it's just like there's nothing here. Give me something to work with.
My
Um,
frustration is just with how the game's being marketed because you could probably have a lot more buzz if you just like the Patreon roster announcements that we don't want to talk about, which I just want to say all of their names right now. But I'm
mm,
not going to. They're not posting renders or gameplay footage of them. To paywall like Hal Haney artwork of All Japan 90s main eventers feels a little silly to me.
mhm,
Like if you posted that like drawing or like, oh, join our Patreon to see the character model.
yes,
That would be interesting. Not paywalling like, hey, we got this guy.
but I think that was like the talk of the Patreon too, right? It would be like join the Patreon where you could see actual models,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, there hasn't been any of that.
Yeah, it just feels like a lot of stuff's been mishandled. And again, people were willing to wait for Fight Forever and they felt burned in the end.
Hmm.
People have always been willing to wait for an alternative to the WWE slop. Always. The problem is you have a moment, like there's a window where you have like maximum potential to make an impact. And that window is not always open. That shit will close eventually. And my fear is by doing what they're doing, they've done nothing to like enlarge that window.
Do you
Like
think
the
too
posts,
that?
like what I mentioned, like that's not gonna fucking help you gain any traction.
Do you think maybe the lack of updates is not just because they don't feel stuff is ready, but also maybe because they're waiting on a publisher?
Maybe, but like you can still market your shit before a publisher is on board. AEW did it.
Right. I haven't checked the post in a while, but I know like Sam was talking about like putting stuff together to interest publishers, and I'm just wondering if that's where a lot of the focus is going right now. I don't know, obviously. Um,
I mean, maybe, but like you can't have tunnel vision on something like this.
right, right,
You
right.
have to keep potential customers engaged and doing the like retromania route of no updates, but we're just going to show you a bunch of stuff over and over again and ask you to
Mm.
share it. That's not that's not going to get anybody anywhere.
It,
And
it it sucks because of the two games. Like I'm seeing like Retromania gameplay of Demolition stuff, and I'm like, I'll probably buy them at some point, but I don't care that much. I'm much more interested in UPW, and there's nothing coming from there. So it's like the opposite of what I want. If they actually did release models of like, if you think about all the names they have signed, and you think about like
why
the
have we not
aesthetic,
seen the Motor City Machine Guns?
well, that's a good one. Yeah, you think about like the aesthetic of the game too. Like you look at the um, I forget what they call it. What is the arena called again? I can't remember.
Riot.
Riot, yeah. You think of like the Riot arena stuff. Like imagine if like they released like some more stuff in that style, with some of the names that they've signed too would be super super cool.
I mean,
Um,
if they showed us any of the classic guys that they have signed, even the ones that never appeared on Raw at the Manhattan Center in that arena, I'd clap like a fucking seal.
yeah, it's like the Retro Randy and the ECW mod you showed me he was working on. He's got like the Hammerstein stuff, and that was like, for lack of a better word, like hype seeing that. And it'd be same with UPW. If like you saw that arena and you saw these wrestlers in the ring and stuff, would just be like
I don't
it
even
was.
need to see the classic guys. You show me like the fucking what's his name, Bill Dollar, whatever the fuck. and
Yeah.
the Regal guy. Like, show me those guys and give me like a 10-minute clip of those guys fighting. Just something.
Yeah, I mean the arenas that they showed before, like the original UPW one and stuff was really cool, so I'm always down for seeing like more arenas and stuff, but yeah, we need like actual gameplay now for sure.
Yeah, I want the project to succeed. It's just stuff like
No, you
this
don't. You're
gives
just
me
being a
pause.
hater.
I'm sure there are people that are in that Discord that have heard this show that think that. I
Well,
just
yeah.
yeah, I want everything that comes out to be good because more good stuff means I have access to more good stuff.
Mm.
And
Obviously, yeah, makes sense.
the problem is with every independent wrestling game project that goes this far with promising something, I immediately whiplash to PWX.
Yeah.
And maybe that's unfair, but I don't think it is. Because nobody ever comes out with like kind of like a humble little project. I mean, like Steve Mason did, because he's
Hmm.
not promising shit. But like when it's like Aki's successor and fucking we're gonna have all this stuff, and then like we don't see anything of substance for like forever. It's like,
It's
yep,
frustrating.
I remember. I remember this fucking Dave popping up on Fire Pro Club, posting a couple of things, and then people asking him when's it gonna come out, and he fucking just disappears.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like I've seen this fucking movie before. It'd be nice if it had a different ending this time.
What was the guy he had
And
signed for PWX?
he had like a bunch of wrestlers from like a German promotion.
Wasn't there? It was a Canadian guy though. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, was it Tyson Dukes?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, that feels or Scotty something.
Scotty Mack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it. A dude from like Western Canada. Yeah,
Was it?
like,
Yeah, yeah. I think that was his name. Yeah, and yeah, I remember
and
that a
I've said
bunch of
this before,
German
and I'll say it
guys.
again. Like, I have more faith in Sam than I ever did Dave because Sam's like got actual goddamn development experience.
Mm.
But
And
as
we've
somebody that
seen
lived through PWX, the lack of updates is a little concerning.
yeah, and we've seen promising gameplay. Obviously it wasn't complete or anything, but what they showed was really cool at the time. But that was just a long time ago now.
Yeah, I'd like to like what we saw before was really great. I want it sped up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because someone made the point like if you grew up playing No Mercy on like a PAL TV, it is going to be slightly slower than the already kind of slow gameplay that we were used to.
If they had like a
So
Fire
like
Pro like speed option would be cool.
yeah, that would require playing Fire Pro. But I'm tired of seeing like game accounts like just fucking devolve into like we're not going to show you anything new. We're going to recycle content and ask you to share it.
Hmm.
After a certain point, that shit doesn't work anymore. Uh, and to the people that blindly, and this goes for any wrestling game, for the people that look at like UPW, Wrestling Code, any of them, and they're just willing to like make that their cause, like, oh, this is going to be the best wrestling game ever. Please stop. A
That's
lot of
never
us
gonna
did that
stop.
20 years ago with fucking PWX, and we all look like fucking morons now. Please, for the
Yeah,
love of God, stop.
it's it's just strange devotion to something that you haven't actually played or really seen a lot of. So I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's silly. Um, God, where do you want to start with action figure news? Because this is going to be depressing shit.
Hmm. Did you? I know you showed that the video of the Ronnie Garvin epic. I don't know if you saw the pictures that 3 Points of Articulation posted.
Yeah, we'll start there. That looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
Obviously, Macho Man #1 inspired body.
Hmm.
Which, if you're going to do Ronnie Garvin, what other body are you going to do? Um, it looks good. Given the whole tariff situation and that whole bunch of trade war bullshit that the dumb fuck in the White House has instigated, I don't know how much I'm going to be doing in terms of action figure buying going forward. Um, I mean, Zombie Sailor had to cut the fucking pre-orders for Pinnacle Series 1 short because of this shit.
Yeah.
He put Bloodsport up and basically was like, we're just going to eat the fucking cost on these.
Yeah, I can't
And
say I'm interested in a Van Damme figure these days anyway.
no, and like we've seen carded samples of Roadkill, a yellow card limited edition Gladiator Mike Awesome, and like a Hasbro card color Blue Trunks Ric Flair, and we don't know when those are coming. I'm
And we
kind of
saw
assuming Awesome's going to be soon because he's got the same style like sticker that Slick had for WrestleCon. It doesn't say WrestleCon on it, but it's the same kind of sticker.
is the awesome on his trunks gold? Do we know that?
I don't think we've seen yet.
Okay. Um, we also
I'm
saw the
assuming yellow.
yeah, I would hope so. We saw the Candido body donnas as well on the back of
Yeah,
the
that's on the
card.
back of the Roadkill carding. And
Right.
also the Roadkill carding kind of gives away that in fact the next retro wave after the new gen wave is going to be Sandman, Scorpio, Roadkill, Tanaka, Shane, and Francine.
It's a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, that's a very like getting me to spend all of my money lineup.
Yeah.
I I don't think I'm gonna buy the skip figure.
No.
I don't like the body Donnas. Though if he got a Dr. Tom Pritchard figure out, I might have to jump on that.
If you got a
Dr.
cloudy, I
Tom
might
is the
think
shit.
about it.
You know what's really funny is Cloudy inadvertently led to Tracy Smothers' whole WWF run getting fucking tanked. Have you ever heard that story?
No.
Okay, so it's something to the effect of Taker was like, Mean Mark, like, oh, some people will do anything to get in the business. And Tracy Smothers, who had known Undertaker since he broke in Memphis, jokingly was like, yeah, ain't that something? Oh, by the way, how long have you been dead? And Undertaker got fucking pissy about that. And then, like, I guess that same night, Tracy works a match with Vader on Raw. And I guess fucking Shawn Michaels got mad because Vader let Tracy Smothers have too much offense or something. And he got in Tracy's face over it. And Tracy was like, hey, man, what the fuck? I was just doing what I was told. And like that's what doomed Freddie Joe Floyd to just be a shithead job guy.
Mm.
Yeah, the WWF, where insecure little bitches don't want to get hit by Vader.
Well, at
Talking about
least
Shawn Taker.
we got him in the full-blooded Italian, so that was good.
Yeah. God bless that run. God bless Tracy. He was great.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Oh, Pastel Toy showed off Regium Rougeos.
Yeah, I thought like they were just renders as well, and I thought like the likenesses were alright. I mean, it seems hard to capture like Jacques' likeness for some reason. But as you brought up, like they have the same upper body as Ahmed, right?
Yeah, like the top half of the torso is the same. Apparently, the lower abdominal is different, which is the opposite of Bundy and Abby in the Pinnacle series, where like the titties are different on both of them, but they have the same lower torso.
Mm-hmm.
This body's too big for everybody they're using it on that isn't Ahmed.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the final product looks like because obviously these are just renders. Like, if there's any actual changes to that, I wouldn't expect it. So there might be ones that you want to pass up on. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really interested in the Rouge as much anyway. Um, I think you said you were interested in them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of them as a tag team. Also, I want to shout out sculpted knee pads on both of them.
Right.
Hell yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the theme song.
Oh, their theme song goes fucking crazy.
Does
Actually, are those sculpted on or is it, did they paint? No, they didn't paint knee pads on. I can see the wrinkles in the. Okay.
yeah.
I was about to start talking shit if those were just painted on knee pads because how the fuck are we cheaping out that hard?
What else did we have? It doesn't feel like there's a lot of figure news this week.
Let me check the Major Pod Instagram.
Oh, we had the Latuni press conference, Andre. Although I don't think the colors are the same as the actual press conference.
No, the contract signing fucking Andre is not accurate at all.
No, so it's sort of like, well, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't get what he's doing, man. I don't understand it.
That dude's like out there. This stuff confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah, like the 12-inch Road Warriors we talked about last week, they're in like different attires. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know.
And also, more to the point, they're just 3D scanned Hasbros. You can't
Mhm.
do that. I'm pretty
He's
sure
doing
you
it.
fucking legally can't. Yeah, I don't know, man. People are fucked up.
I get it. Like I said, I think I brought it up last week, but I kind of like how weird his business model is. Even his website just feels like something out of time.
It does. It feels like it's from like 2004.
I love it.
Um, we did get the announcement of the last time is now John Cena. I guess it's going to be an exclusive to WWE World at WrestleCon
Yeah, we
or
talked
whatever
about
the
that
fuck.
last week, I think.
Did we? Okay,
Yeah.
I saw that on my timeline this week and I thought it was new. Because it's John Cena. I don't give a fuck. Some influencers got the Mania 20 Cena in hand, and that thing somehow looks even worse with the fucking Batista torso than it did in the prototype pictures.
Mm.
I don't get it. Like people are so eager to heap praise on Bill, but he's like one of the worst designers I've ever seen on like wrestling figures. Like how do you make such terrible parts choices for years and collectors bitch about you for years and there's never any sort of like inclination on the part of the company you work for to replace you?
Because they make money, I guess.
I guess, but like they're believe me, Steve is well aware of people that hate the parts choices on these fucking figures.
Yeah.
And they have to also be aware of people looking at the feedback of what people have for the Monday Night Wars stuff since Magic took over. There's no two ways about it. People really fucking love those figures like that Austin. I'm far from the only person that's like, this is the best Austin figure ever. And people lost their shit over that NWO Muda. That was magic. Prince Albert,
Mhm.
same set. Like we might have outlived our fucking need for Bill McKenna as the just fucking bring him in, commission him to design all the Japanese women figures because that's like the stuff he actually cares about designing, and let somebody else like handle them. I don't mean to sound like an asshole when I say that, but like he like proudly proclaims himself the greatest designer of Japanese women's wrestling figures, but he can't in good conscience fucking proudly proclaim himself the world's greatest designer of Bret Hart wrestling figures.
That's like the best designer of Japanese women wrestling figures. That's like a pretty short lineup too, if you're just talking about WWE, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, dude,
I don't
go independent
to
or
quote
something and
Roddy
give us
Piper, I don't know him, he's something.
go independent and give us like a Megumi Kudo and shit like that if you're the best at it. That's what I want.
Give us an Aja Kong if you're the best at it, for Christ's
Hell
sake.
yeah.
Has KWK said anything lately? Oh boy, there's an on-card sample of TJ Perkins for the 4 people on the planet that give a fuck about him.
He was doing he was talking about I saw recently doing a video straight from the factory or something.
Uh, so remember how he was like beating his chest about the figures being $15 or whatever?
Yeah, the price changed to like 20, right?
Yeah, they're like $23 now.
Oh, okay. Well,
Um,
that didn't last long.
yeah, well, yeah, tariffs.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? But
I I wish I liked the way these things look more than I like them because Jesus, that Taka would be really cool if it was a figure that actually looked halfway decent.
The Max Moon was pretty good. I mean, I've got it. I think it's all right. It's not bad at all. But like the ones I've seen since then, I haven't really been a fan of. Even though I thought like the unfinished late sculpts of Kabuki and Bull Nakano look super cool. We'll have to see what like the final products are like and the paint appliance and stuff like that. And hopefully at some point we see Tenryu and Aisha Kong. We don't have to wait too long for them, I hope.
Well, we know they're for next year at this point, right?
Yeah, I just hope that we get a better look at them or a look at them. You know, we don't have to wait too long for that, I hope. And unless we have to wait until like Comic Con next year, which I guess makes sense.
I mean, Comic Con next year, he should hopefully have those figures out by then.
Uh,
The one thing I don't want is another fucking like 8 hour long stream with him and fucking Fig Heel because Fig Heel should fucking. I don't even want to
hey,
make the be thrown in federal prison joke anymore because of what they're planning to do to people. Like,
they can
but
like
that guy should not be allowed to have social media. What a
instead of
dumbass.
like Barry Horowitz, they can interview like Pat Tanaka for an hour, and he can talk about like how he trained you
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
all that
say,
stuff.
can you talk about fucking the YMCA that I met him at and how he stood there and told me he made $1 million for Mania 6? Jesus fucking, what a crackhead, man. What a fucking crackhead. I uh I was gonna say something. Oh, like Maximum Series Hulk, that was like an easy pre-order. That shit just
Yes.
was, yeah. I I think I went through Amazon on that one, I think. Just because I don't know. I'm a mark. That figure looks really good. I mentioned it last week. There was like some concern trolling about the how long the rubber is going to hold up, and it's like there's Storm Collectibles figures that are over a decade old now.
Yeah.
I think it'll be okay. My one main concern would be if you pose him doing the thunderclap and you leave it there for a long time, that's probably going to reform the rubber to look a
Mm.
little silly. So maybe in that regard, I would have liked traditional butterfly joints on him, but I still think the figure looks great. The boxed sample that we've seen, it's fucking awesome. I love that figure. I love my Maximum Spider-Man too. It's great. Um, I have been reading Invincible. I will say that I've watched a couple episodes of the show, but I just figured I'd read the book because I was told the show adapts it pretty directly, and that's not so much the case. Uh, I've also realized about myself in the last few months that I really love Image comics. They're probably actually my favorite. I try to say Marvel all the time, but no, it's I counted how many books I have on order at the comic shop, and it's like 80 something Image books, and these are like single issues, not all collected editions. And then it's like 60 something Marvel, and then DC. It's literally just all the absolute books as far out as I can get them. It's like
Hmm.
20 something books,
You'll be getting
and
the compacts, all right.
yeah, but oh yeah, actually that's a big part of what I have ordered. But the ones for the rest of the year I'm not able to order yet. I asked at the
Right.
comic shop. I think those are probably going to be solicited in like June, is what I think I was told.
Okay.
So like as soon as those are available to me, I'll order them because I love those books. But I've been reading Invincible. They're doing like 6x9 digest size releases of that and Saga, which I think the second Saga book comes out this week, so that's cool. Um, but I've been reading. So I got volumes 1 through 4, not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday before. Those lasted me like 2 days. I got volumes 5 through 8 this Thursday because I called off work. I wasn't feeling very well, and uh, I was just like, "Take me to the comic shop. All will be fine if I just go to the comic shop." And I read volume 5 in one sitting. I read volume 6 the next day in one sitting. I read almost all of volume 7 before we started recording. That book rocks. Um, I, I like the stuff with Omni Man. I like that it's the show has a very different way of going. I don't want to spoil anything. That's the problem. The show has a different way of going about like what Omni Man does and the little demon guy that's investigating and how that whole issue gets resolved. And then, I've seen the video of like Omni Man beating the fuck out of Invincible. And that issue is fucking tremendous too. It's like an entire issue of Invincible getting shit kicked out of him. Um, and I thought like because Omni Man just bounces, he's like, oh fuck it, I'm done. And he goes. I thought like, well, I'm not gonna see him again for a long time. And then it was probably 10, 15 issues later, maybe. But like there's like a whole nother arc with him, and that's like really good. And like all of the like teenage like soap opera stuff with Invincible and his girlfriend and Adam Eve and all that stuff is really good in a way that like I see people try to do that when they write Spider-Man like a teenager. It's not nearly that good as it is in Invincible, which is wild. Um, so I'm gonna finish probably volume 7 and 8 today. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, from the comic shop this week, I got Absolute Batman #7, which does some really fucking neat stuff with Mister Freeze, like his whole little origin. I got the Bill Sienkiewicz variant, which is like this really nice, like painterly kind of design. Anybody that's seen the um the Bill Sienkiewicz graphic novel for Daredevil, it's that kind of style. Um, Absolute Batman's like my favorite monthly book. It's a completely different take on Batman, and it's so goddamn refreshing to read. I also got the first issue of the new Amazing Spider-Man, and I was expecting that to suck. It didn't. Um, for one, like gorgeous artwork, which I mean, that's like half the thing with Spider-Man, right? Like everybody associates it going back to like McFarlane, even going back to
Yeah.
like John Romita, you're going to get good artwork. And like I saw an article like bemoaning that they kind of redo the opening of like Brand New Day, and they do to an extent. But like once you get past that, and even that part I thought was perfectly fine. Like I was like, that's cool. I know what that is. The whole thing with like Rhino and like the little like mystery that starts to unfold afterwards. I don't know where that's going to go in issue 2, but I was not expecting to be excited about issue 2 going into issue 1 because of how like just Tom Brevoort, who's like the X-Men group editor, and I think he's just the executive editor at Marvel at this point. Like he's a dumbass, and he keeps like jabbing at fans who want Mary Jane and Peter to be together. It's like, well, go buy Ultimate Spider-Man, which people are doing.
Mm.
They're not buying Amazing as much as they're buying Ultimate Spider-Man. It's almost like Spider-Man having the fucking family is what people actually want. And so like with Brevoort showing his ass, I was kind of expecting like, I was on the hook for the first 3 issues because I was like, Joe Kelly's writing it. He's the guy that made Daredevil the fucking character everybody likes. So clearly he's going to be good at writing smart ass Spider-Man. But I was hesitant because I was like, Brevoort's showing his ass. Like this is the creatively bankrupt editorial office. And then I read the first issue and I was like, God damn, goddamn, they did it. It was a good issue. And also, there's a major pod variant based on like actual Amazing Spider-Man #1 from whenever the fuck. I don't think it's the 60s. I think it's like 1974 or whatever.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
yeah, I don't know how much money they paid for that one. I don't buy for a second somebody from Marvel's like let's make a fucking a variant. But also, there was a Batman comic a couple of years ago that had like a Danhausen variant cover.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I was so confused when I saw the cover because like is Danhausen in the comic? But I don't think he was. I think it was just somebody commissioned the Danhausen for the cover, and that stuff's really cool. I also read the new issue of Spawn, which I think I might have talked about when I read issue 362. They ended that issue on like a really interesting note, and then fucking it was just a deliberate bait and switch, which I wasn't really happy about because like Spawn's wife suddenly being Mandarin Spawn would have been a really cool fucking angle to take, and they just pissed their way out of it. Is what it is. Um, I read the new issue of Incredible Hulk. Wasn't really feeling it. I read the new Daredevil. It was all right. I like the idea of like Daredevil has to make the choice between Foggy and Bullseye. He tries to save both of them. Bullseye dies, and he's like haunted by the nightmares. But like, something just feels like off about that book, and I can't put my finger on it. That guy's also writing Wolverine right now, and apparently the Wolverine book is better than Daredevil. So we're gonna see, because I think this week is issue one. This week's either issue one of, or not issue one, the new issue of that, or it's issue one of the Wolverine Kitty Pryde miniseries that Chris Claremont's doing. Because I know that starts in April. I could just pull up Comic Hub right now and figure this all out. I'm sorry, I just hijacked this and turned it into all the bullshit I've been reading lately.
No, it's okay. I'm not reading anything right now. I started to read. I think I was talking to you about it like last week or 2 weeks ago. I started reading the X-Men manga, and I was I was reading it in the living room, and I was just the first 3 pages are like character profiles, and like everyone started like talking to me, or like TV was on or something, and I was like, ah, and I put it down and I completely forgot about it.
I like the manga, but it has the same, and I don't want to say issue, but I will. It has the same issue that X-Men Adventures has, where like I've seen the cartoon, and anything that like halfway adapts it but doesn't go all the way with it is just gonna be like ugh, to me.
Right.
So it is Wolverine issue 8 this week. I have the Andy Kubert variant for anybody wondering. Oh, new issue of Cable this week too. Also, volume 2 of Saga. So I probably should finish out those 2 volumes of Invincible before I get to the other Image Digest book that I'm collecting. Also, Rob Liefeld's Youngblood is coming back. They're doing like remastered versions. I have the first 3 issues of that on order. It's a it's a good time to be interested. Oh wow, Assorted Crisis Events number 2 is out this week, and Ultimate Wolverine. Lovely.
Everything's out.
Godzilla versus Hulk as well. Oh, Absolute Flash number 2. I
Godzilla
don't
versus
know, like,
Hulk.
yeah, they're doing like Godzilla versus like all of the Marvel Universe characters. I think they have him against Spider-Man and him
He
against
just
the X-Men as well.
he just fought the Justice League, didn't he?
I think they did Godzilla Kong Justice League, yeah.
Jesus, Godzilla's everywhere.
But I think technically the Godzilla Kong Justice League stuff is like the Godzilla versus Kong like stuff that Warner Brothers owns, and this
Right.
is supposed
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
something
like the
else.
MonsterVerse and like the uh is it Toei? Who owns Godzilla again?
Toho.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, you can't really like get better than Godzilla versus Charles Barkley though. So
No, no.
a lot of
I
those Godzilla comics are pretty good though, like Godzilla and Hell and stuff like that. I read, which was neat.
apparently IDW has like some really good shit cooking with Godzilla right now, and apparently the current ongoing TMNT books are very good. I need to get back on those because I never finished the first trade, but that was really good shit too. There's a lot of really good stuff out there with comics right now, and hopefully the tariffs don't completely torpedo that industry, or else I have nothing left. um, like I like the idea that single issues are anywhere from $3 to $8. Like Wolverine this week, $7.99, which I don't understand why. Maybe it's a double issue. I don't fucking know. But like for $3 to $8, or like starting at like 10, 15 for a collected edition, you get like essentially like a full little story. It's like the price of a movie ticket. And granted, comics take way longer, or way less time rather, to read than a movie, but like I can read a comic on the shitter. If I go to the movie theater to see like the Mark Kerr movie when it comes out, they're not going to give me like a portable screen if I have to go take a dump.
I mean, that
I'm just
you've got a popcorn bucket, but I wouldn't suggest
Well,
it.
yeah. Well, did you know how much popcorn is here, bro?
Oh yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah, I'm not paying like
What is
$11 for the convenience of taking a dump in the corner while they're trying to portray Pride as being a company that ran in front of like 300 people.
what is the Mark Kerr movie popcorn bucket look like? It's just like a giant rock head or something.
I was gonna say it's like a giant pill bottle.
Yeah, maybe.
I watched that Smashing Machine documentary. I watch it once a year. I watched it again recently, and God, that's a fucking depressing documentary.
I saw he's gonna be a part of like I think it's was it WrestleCon with Barnett
Yeah, he's gonna
and
be a Bloodsport too.
Severn and Fry. Yeah.
I I feel really bad watching that documentary because it's about him and like his potential like comeback, and then he gets beat by Fujita and his buddy Mark Coleman wins the fucking Grand Prix.
Mm.
And people don't consider this. There was a point in time where like Mark Kerr was like the scariest motherfucker walking the planet.
He looked like it too.
Yeah, like that dude looked like an actual like goddamn Terminator.
Yeah.
They like once they took away like the fucking headbutting and shit, he might have been a little bit up shit creek, but that shit where he got kneed in the head by Igor Vovchanchin, that was it. He was never the same after that. I mean, he oh, who was it from Rings that he fought? He fought some dude from Rings and did a takedown and basically knocked himself out. Was it a Yamamoto? I think
I'm not sure.
he basically knocks himself out doing a takedown, and they made a joke that like he got DDT'd, and you see on the replay like no, he spiked himself. How did Goldberg never do that? How did he never KO himself doing a spear?
That's a good question. Who did? Was it didn't Reigns knock himself out one time, I think? Wasn't
I
it like a
remember
Shane?
maybe it was Yoshihisa Yamamoto. Okay, I had to look that up just to be
That,
sure.
that spear by Braun Breaker on Raw, by the way, was insane.
Yeah, I saw a clip of that on I think it was Blue Sky. It was either Blue Sky or Instagram.
You just put the belt on him now.
God, Heath Herring loses to Mark Kerr, and then he disappears for almost 3 years, knocks himself out against Yoshihisa Yamamoto, disappears for 2 years, gets KO'd by fucking Mike Whitehead, which that's like the funniest name in human history.
See,
It,
was he an Ultimate Fighter guy?
Mike Whitehead? You might be thinking of Mike Wessel. That guy was,
Maybe.
yeah, that guy sucks. Doesn't look like he's. Oh no, he was. He was on Tough Two.
Yeah, I thought his name sounded familiar.
What a dumb fucking name.
Did you see the
God,
did you
so
see like
this
the
is the crazy thing. Like,
what's that?
I forgot that Rashad Evans was a heavyweight during this season.
Yeah.
That's insane. I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say, did you see the Rock in the New Japan Lion Mark shirt that everyone was talking about?
Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't see the clip.
It's just him playing for a Rubik's Cube or some shit. But I don't know. That's you'd think that maybe there's nothing to it, but like in the back of your mind, it's a bit scary. I don't like the idea of WWE working with them. But I mean, it's so strange to me that you look at the Bloodsport card, you've got all these stardom, like you've got Micah against what's her name, like Carmen Petrovic or something from
I
NXT,
think that's her name. Yeah.
and Konami against Shayna Baszler. Just it seems very strange.
I I mean it's patently obvious that they're like way into the Japanese market. It's going to be Noah. I don't think New
Yeah,
Japan's going to like turn their back on AEW.
I don't think so either. I just think the way the way things work out is just it's just strange. I mean, I don't think that they go away from AEW, but at the end of the day, who knows what's gonna happen? I mean, things can change. Um, I think I was gonna say now. There was something else that I was gonna bring up. Oh, what was it? I can't remember. Anyway, um, it was funny that they pulled Omos from Noah for around like the Royal Rumble, and he hasn't been on TV once since they brought it back. What he was doing like really good in Noah, and the fans were really into him and stuff. So I don't know. That just makes you wonder, like, what was the purpose of that?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, shout outs to Hiroki Goto. He did not lose the belt to Tanahashi Jr. in Chicago. I was so worried.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, maybe he drops the belt in Osaka Joe Hall at Dominion because wrestling Dentaku doesn't feel like a place where you do a heavyweight title change anymore.
Hmm.
I think the last one might have been Okada in 2014 when he dropped it to AJ.
Sounds about right.
There was a clear point where like they viewed it as like Wrestle Kingdom and Dominion were the two big shows, and then fuck
Mm.
everything else. Yeah, other than fucking Moxley winning the belt in the US since they started the new title, it's basically all been like Sakura Genesis, Dominion, and Wrestle Kingdom. Well, I guess Goto was the combo breaker because New Beginning this year. Yeah. I I want to like current New Japan more than I do, but there's so many shitheads, man. There's so many fucking shitheads, and I just don't want to see them. I know people like that Gabe Kid guy, but man, he sucks.
Oh, they're bringing
He's
in the
terrible.
on their Ontario, California card. They're gonna have the War Dogs against the Young Bucks. So I'm sure you'll be tuned in for that.
No, that basically ensures that I'm never going to be watching that. And since we're talking about current wrestling, uh, yeah, Dynasty, that was a show. Um, it's funny. I'd heard like a month and a half ago that the plan was like as recently as a few days earlier that the Bucks were going to come back as baby faces,
Yeah, I
and
read that
then they
too.
sure didn't.
Nope.
Yeah, they so we got John Moxley doing his Triple H Booker T Mania 19 moment. He got that because I didn't see the match, but they killed him with the fucking whatever the double knee thing is called. I don't I don't know what the fuck that's called. And then I guess like Swerve just laid there dead and got pinned. Either way,
It's the
somebody
the
sent me.
EVP trigger, I think.
Is that it? Okay. Somebody sent me Triple H pinning Booker for Mania 19 with Moxley pinning Swerve. It was just like some things never change. And I was like, I've compared this run to the '03 Triple H run this entire time. Tell me I'm wrong now.
It really
And
sucks. And then
yeah,
him beating Shibata wasn't fun either.
oh, I saw that and I got like angry. Like I saw that on fucking Blue Sky and I was just like, go fuck yourselves.
Shibata loses to
Like
everyone in AEW now, and I don't get it.
I don't understand. Well, he's also got to be a funny guy too, because every Japanese wrestler has to be funny.
Didn't Tony say like he was his favorite wrestler? Like, why does he have him lose all the time?
Because Tony says that about everybody, I'm sure.
I guess.
But like, I'm not saying give Shibata the world title. Well, give him the world title over fucking Moxley, because
Give him some
Jesus
wins
Christ.
would be good.
Like he was pure champion. They did the thing where he got fucking taken up by Wheeler Yuta. He came back and he like never fucking wins.
Nope.
He gets the international title match against Takeshita for no reason. Match was awesome. That match was great. But like no reason. Who gives a fuck? He's not gonna win.
No, he's only going to win if the Ops are in a tag match.
And he's not going to be the one. Now they're facing the Death Riders on Wednesday in a trios match. I'll give you three guesses who's going to fucking eat the pin on that.
Mm.
Even though there's no reason for the Death Riders to have the trios belts anymore, because Pac fucking stop me if you've heard this before. Pac had a medical fucking situation and he's going to be gone for a few months.
Yeah, that
Pac
was
got hurt.
yeah, in this match with Swerve.
I like Pac when he's around. He's great, but he's like never around. Why the fuck is he still under contract? Why do you still have him? He's not going to go back to WWE. He didn't like what they did with him the first time. I don't I don't understand it. Um but I watched all of Dynasty up until the 1-2 punch of Jericho Bandito, which was a horrible fucking match. Horrible. And they did the bullshit restart the match spot. Like, even if you found the bat at ringside, what does it matter? There's no instant replays. We've established this. So you can't prove that he hit Bandito with it. So like if the fucking people at ringside would have been like, "Oh, he hit Bandito over the head with the steps," and Aubrey walked over and pointed out that they had the fucking ring steps. Would that have been? Would that have also started the match over? Like, what kind of stupid fucking like WWE bullshit is that? And then you follow that up with that fucking Adam Cole Daniel Garcia match, which was terrible. It was awful. And I was like, fuck it. I have tomorrow off. I could stay up and watch the rest of the show. I'm going to fucking bed.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, the last two matches each went 30 minutes. It is a Sunday night pay-per-view in April. It is a fucking school night, bro. You are not goddamn. It's not goddamn night 2 of Mania. It's not fucking SummerSlam. This isn't. It's Dynasty. It's not Double or Nothing. It's not All In. It's not one of your biggest shows of the year. What the fuck are you doing? What fucking sense does any of this make?
Beats me.
And like, I listened to the post wrestling recap because I'm an idiot. And John Pollock tries so hard to say something nice about that match. And then he says, like, you have to attribute Revolution doing a good pay-per-view number in part to Moxley and Cope. And Wei Ting was like, I think it was the undercard. Which, by the way, the undercard includes Takeshita versus Omega and Ospreay versus Fletcher. Both matches I heard people cite as their reason for buying the show. I did not hear anybody cite that main event as a reason for buying the show. Nobody wanted to see that match.
No.
And fucking John Pollock was like, well, what's the most promoted part of the show? And Wei immediately was like, what's the most complained about part of the show? And Pollock's argument was, well, they're still buying the pay-per-views. Yeah, but not for the main. You can't credit the main event for people buying the show if they're not buying it for the main event. That's fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Oh my God. And I was told by multiple people there was not a single person that had a single, like, even the AEW hype accounts on Twitter did not have a single positive fucking thing to say about that main event.
No, because they're all tired of the shit.
People genuinely, and also if the number's up for Dynasty over last year, which allegedly it is, it's really funny how like we only get the pay-per-view numbers now when it's like a number they're happy with.
Yeah.
They don't disclose them otherwise. But if the number is up, guess what? That's probably because people thought Swerve was going to fucking win. It's not like, oh man, I want to see what happens next with the Death Riders. People thought Swerve was going to end that shit. And so, like, we're marching towards fucking Double or Nothing. We're going to get an Anarchy in the Arena match with the Death Riders probably. And I don't give a flying fuck about that. You could not pay me to care about that. And like, we're really in this until July because fucking Tony, who's like, oh, I listen to fan criticism. No, you don't.
No.
And I know that they get the numbers and they're like, well, the numbers are doing well right now. So there's a disconnect between this and the online fans. Here's the thing. People are tuning in to see the shit that they like. They're not tuning in to see the shit that they don't. It's silly to be like, if Dynamite does a good number, it's because of the Death Riders. When you have everything else around, that's like trying to claim that, like, how do I put this? That's like trying to claim that like fucking Hogan and Piper was the deal at fucking Halloween Havoc 97. No, Hogan and Warrior was the deal at Halloween Havoc 98 when people were fucking buying to see Goldberg and DDP.
Right, yeah.
And Nash versus Hall and Brett versus Sting. Like, you had 3 matches that were more important to the general fan base than a rematch from WrestleMania 8 fucking years earlier.
I was watching Collision last night, and it seemed like a smaller arena, and I was like, the crowd doesn't sound like that lively. What's going on? And they showed was a part where I think it was Cash was standing on like a chair or something, and you could see like the whole camera side was empty again, and they couldn't avoid showing like the far side of the arena opposite the ring there was a bunch of empty seats there too. It's kind of sad, to be honest. I mean, I usually don't really give a shit about attendance and stuff like that, but just
it's hard to ignore with this company because there was a point where they were doing very, very well.
Yeah, and it's also just saying like what feels like a smaller arena and not seeing it full is just it's sad.
Well, also they're running 2 days in Boston next week.
Yeah, they did a blood angle too. They had FTR beat up Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Luke, and Daddy Magic was bleeding. It was and they give him like 2 or 3 spike pile drivers, which was kind of cool, but it also seemed weird because it's like this is on the secondary show, and it's just like I know they're gonna show clips of it on like Dynamite, but it feels like it would have been better suited on that show. I don't know.
I like that they do stuff on Collision. My thing now is like I watched the opening angle from Collision, the stuff with Tony and Nigel in FTR. And then I watched Jamie Hayter versus Billy Starks, which what a fucking just not a good match. Billy Starks did the fucking I'm gonna sit there like, oh, I can't believe this person kicked out thing twice in like 2 fucking minutes. It just what the fuck are we doing in this business? And like everything was so sloppy and telegraphed and like it seemed like there was a degree of miscommunication and just what the fuck? Why is that on national television? I like both of them too, but like that match was awful. And then to follow that up, there's a fucking Death Riders promo, and I was just like, I'm done.
I was
There's
watching
there's
sorry,
like
go ahead.
3 acts in the history of wrestling where I just see them and I'm like, I'm not watching the rest of the show. I don't care. It's fucking Triple H and O3, those guys, and basically the Young Bucks in New Japan.
Hmm.
Thankfully, the Young Bucks in New Japan, if I just missed the opener like 90% of the time, I didn't have to see them. But
I was
like,
watching a
I can't fucking stand seeing like Claudio was one of my favorite wrestlers for like years. I can't fucking stand seeing him now. Like just fuck him. And also, not for nothing, given the current political climate, maybe having a guy who's bald in a white shirt cutting promos in fucking German angrily.
is he
Maybe
speaking
not.
German or is he speaking
I saw
Swiss?
somebody fucking say, I saw somebody say it was German.
I think that's a bit too much.
I
So I
tend to
don't.
default to that because of the Bruderschaft from
Uh,
Chikara. But
I don't think
like
of anything towards that. I mean, it's Claudio. I don't
the
do
whole
anything there.
fucking the whole genesis, the whole impetus of the stable is Moxley's character is based on a Russell Crowe character that was a fucking white supremacist.
Yeah, I mean that was what was said originally, but they haven't referenced that since, right? Like,
I mean, it's
he
still what the character is based on, even if it's they're just doing shithead NWO stuff now.
is it? I mean, because I know he referenced that in the first promo, like he said a line from the movie, but like, I don't think there's been. I haven't seen the
He
movie,
doesn't
so I
have to
don't know.
reference it every fucking week. Like
But that's
Jericho didn't do the No Country for Old Men bit every single week, but that's still what it was fucking based on when he came out with the suit.
I don't know. I just it like I don't know. Like they drop things, right? Like it doesn't seem like like other than that one line, it's never really seemed part of like it. I don't know how to explain it. It'd be like if
You don't
someone's.
have to explicitly reference what you're basing your shit on every week for it to like stick.
But if it wasn't for that one line, we wouldn't have known what it was based on anyway.
We knew it was based on that because fucking Brian Alvarez referenced it like right after the plastic bag thing.
Yeah, Brian Alvarez wouldn't even have seen that movie.
Probably not. No, Brian Alvarez doesn't watch fucking television or movies.
No.
And also, independent of all of this, oh wow, John Moxley wants to do a fucking character based on a white supremacist character in a movie. Take a look at his friends. Not really shocking. Anyway, I just like I saw the promo and like the second he popped up on screen, I was like, fuck this. I'm just gonna go back to YouTube. I fucking hate that group. I I've heard that basically everybody in that group's done after All In, and good fucking riddance if that's the case. If not, I don't. How do you bring them back? How do you bring any of them back after this?
I mean, it's wrestling. They tend to push through things, you know?
Oh,
They bring them.
especially in AEW, like Jericho's still around, but like, what do you do?
I, I don't know. I mean, he does the rotating roster, right? So he just brings them back and puts them in random matches. That's likely what would happen.
I guess, but like, I don't know, man. And also, I was told like Moxley wanted the roster to be cutting promos on the Death Riders, like how they would do for the NWO. And like
Well,
that's a great idea. That wasn't an every week thing. Also,
you, you could tell us what they wanted to do when they started because they had the whole roster like in the parking lot, like waiting for them, like it was like an invasion, like it was Nitro, right? Even that felt
yeah.
like fucking ridiculous because you didn't have the top stars out there. You had like the Dark Order and shit. It's like, come
Well,
on.
that was the other thing I've heard is Moxley was mad that it wasn't all of the main eventers. But think about it from this perspective. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
sure he wanted to fucking beat all of the main eventers. I'm sure he
Probably.
did. I'm sure he wanted to beat Will Ospreay instead of fucking Orange Cassidy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I am the Death Rider, John Moxley. What do you people not understand? And like, has anybody escaped a fucking program with Moxley better for working with him? Like, what the fuck's Orange Cassidy doing now? Jay White's injured. Hangman Page had to go off and do other shit.
Orange Cassidy's
Just
injured too,
fucking,
right?
is he? Oh, torn pec. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also remember they killed him and he came back and like had a match with like fucking Roderick Strong for no reason.
Yeah, that's kind of what they do.
Like, I don't want like the fucking meandering bullshit like take 5 million years to get to a resolution stories WWE does, but like a little bit of goddamn consistency, please. Like, okay, he can't beat Moxley. Why can't Orange Cassidy have a match with Claudio? Why can't he have a match with Pac? Well, Pac's never around. That's why. Why can't he have a match with Yuta? Yuta's there all the time.
Funny enough, I feel like after Mariah and Tony, like the only thing that really hit me AEW was like Osprey and Fletcher, and it feels like everything else is just no matter what they try, nothing seems to really stick.
Yeah. I mean, you had that whole thing where it was Fletcher, Osprey, Takeshita, and Kenny, and that was stuff people were really interested in.
Yeah.
And they paid both of those off at Revolution, and people were really excited for both those matches. I didn't see a single motherfucker that was excited to see Edge versus John Moxley.
Nope.
And I saw the thing that Jericho's apparently taking time off and his return's going to be saved for a surprise. The funniest thing that could ever happen would be if he popped up and they played Judas again and the crowd just booed him.
How about he
I don't
just
think they
doesn't
will.
return?
Yeah, it would be great, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if like he was one of those people involved in like a plane colliding with another plane? Hopefully that one would be empty though. It's like
Mm,
Jericho. I
I'm
hate
not.
Jericho, bro. I hate
I'm
him.
not gonna wish death on anyone today,
Dusty
anyway.
Rhodes should cut Chris Jericho's Dusty Rhodes should cut Chris Jericho's brake cables like he did to Magnum TA.
I saw like they posted the poster for like the Fozzy tour, and it looked like AI or it looked like some cyberpunk
That doesn't shock me.
bullshit. Yeah.
There's nothing fucking surprising about that.
It's funny because when you think cyberpunk, you think of Fozzy, right?
I, eh,
No,
I
no,
guess.
no, no.
No,
You
I'm just
don't.
fucking around. I, I want to like AEW so badly right now because they have so many people I like, but like every time I look in that direction, it's like, oh, Shibata's gonna fucking get beat up by John. He gets choked out by John Moxley
Yeah.
because that's the extent of the fucking inferiority complex that guy has. Like, oh, Roman beat people with a fucking guillotine choke 3 years ago. I need to beat everybody with my bulldog choke, except he doesn't beat anybody. And also, he beat Shibata relatively clean. He doesn't beat anybody relatively clean. So what does that tell you about fucking how they view Shibata?
Yeah.
I say relatively clean, like relative to some of the other fucking shit shows with him. Like, it's stupid. You have like the most talent loaded roster ever assembled, and this is what you're fucking doing. And fucking Beast Morto still can't win a match. They had an 8-man tag. There were 3 other guys in that match that could have ate the fucking fall over Beast Mortos. They still had him lose.
Seems like they dropped the whole thing with him and Harley Cameron as well.
Of course they did.
Why did they drop the Jeff Jarrett thing? Like, what the hell happened there? Like, I know the promo with MGF was like really bad, but it was like this whole story of him like wanting to win the world title before he finishes, and he just it's just all gone.
He's part of those stupid pre-shows with fucking RJ City and Renee. And also, not for nothing, having Renee on the pre-shows discussing like her husband in the main events, you wouldn't see that in like most other sports. it just feels really stupid. Like having her interview Swerve, like why is she interviewing the guy that is facing her husband on the pay-per-view?
They
It
only
makes no
reference it when
sense.
they want to. It's like they don't pay attention to the fact that they're married, or like it's just common knowledge. But like she doesn't disapprove of anything until like randomly she's just like, "Oh yeah, I didn't like that," and then they just move on. It's strange.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's so like wishy-washy and inconsistent
Yeah.
and stupid. And like not that they're particularly telling interesting stories or like doing anything good really in WWE, but like there's not a ton of inconsistency in the programs that matter in that company.
No, Charlotte gets the win over Tiffany every week, so you're right about that.
Yeah, well, if she gets the win over her at Mania, there's probably
Oh boy.
a discussion that needs. Dude, I that whole fucking thing, like the coverage of that I saw, like people like aggregating from the Observer. I just goddamn, Flair's daughter's got no sauce at all. She's never had any. She sucks.
I liked how they introduced two women's mid-card titles recently, and like one of them's wrestling for the tag titles at Mania, and it's like, what the fuck did you do this for? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, Tony unveiled the ROH Women's
Ah,
Pure title
I
last night.
saw that
You
too.
don't
I
have
was like,
you don't have
why?
anybody that wrestles the fucking style.
No, I mean, if they were going to introduce women's tag titles, that would have made a lot of sense. Why do we need another women's singles title? Like for ROH especially too. It's like for what purpose?
Because people have been bitching at him to do tag titles for years, so he's going to do something else because he's Tony.
Ugh.
It's just it's the lay of the land. It's the way the shit works. I don't get it. Um, so Nintendo delayed the Switch 2 pre-orders, and there was an alleged date
Good
that came
transition.
out. Yeah, I just don't want to talk about AEW or WWE anymore. Um, I guess the May whatever the fuck date wasn't accurate or whatever, but they're not backing off of the June 5th launch date,
Yeah, I
which is
saw
the
that.
interesting thing to me because are you just gonna is this gonna be like 1986 when like the Famicom Disk System launched and we didn't get that in the US? Wow, that's a horrible fucking comparison. It's gonna be like 1991 when the fucking SNES launched and you just had to go to your local mall. Is how's this gonna work?
I don't know. They delayed it for the tariffs, right? Like they were seeing what was going to happen. But that's like
Apparently, wasn't the initial thing like a whiplash to the pre-order price, and then it was just convenient the tariffs fucking happened like the same day?
maybe. I mean, if the thing about tariffs is that fucking Trump changes his mind or like gets scared on like what feels like a daily basis. So you can't depend on those anyway. It's like it's gonna fuck your business either way because it seems to change off and on all the time. Like there was tariffs on everybody, then it was delayed 90 days, and then China went up, and
It was
it's
delayed on everybody but China. Like it
right.
was
It's
so
madness.
unclear what the messaging was.
Yeah, like there was I was watching the news. It was CBC Canadian News, and there was somebody I can't remember exactly what she said, but she's like, I talked to a source in the White House, and they said this, and then like she's like 20 minutes later, it was the complete opposite, and she's just like, you can't make any sense of it. Um, and that's the thing, right? If they're going by that, if it was the pre-order price, obviously that's something different. But I wouldn't see Nintendo budging on something like that because I feel like they'd be like,
No.
people are gonna buy it anyway.
Right. And also there was some confusion about the Switch 2 versions. So
Hmm.
apparently the Switch 2 versions of Switch 1 games, at least the Nintendo released ones, they're going to have it's going to be a physical cart with the Switch 1 game and the download for the upgrade,
Right.
which is better than what we thought it was going to be in the sense of we all thought it was going to be you basically get a Switch cart and then fucking It just downloads the update, so you don't physically have a Switch 2 edition. That doesn't seem to so much be the case now, which is good because if you buy like Breath of the Wild and you're paying the $10 fucking markup for it, you shouldn't have a download. It should just be on the damn cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to get a Switch 2 at some point. Right now, it's very much, do I want the Inoki Blu-ray set or do I want to Switch 2? And uh, you know what to say, Inoki Bombaye. And also, like, I have no confidence in my ability to actually land a Switch 2, like, on pre-order.
Right.
Like, I know that they've apparently just been, like, hoarding and amassing this, like, giant amount of Switch 2 units to combat, like, scalpers or whatever. But, man, I don't have faith. You can't fool me. I've done this before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
I,
still interested in it, but I'm not like I don't feel like the
I don't
need
think
to.
I need it day one.
No.
I did I did watch because they streamed it in 4K. I watched the Switch 2 version of Prime 4, and golly, what a pretty looking game.
Yeah, I
And
I
also
agree.
the fact that in handheld that shit can run like 120 frames per second is insane.
Not that it matters, but I heard the camera runs 480.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have zero interest in buying that anyway, but that was something that I read.
Yeah, I think my big my big thing with this is I want to buy Prime 4 when it drops, and I want the damn Switch 2 versions of those Zelda games. And obviously eventually I want to get Mario Kart, even though it's gonna be like silly fucking expensive.
Yeah, that would be the same lineup for me. I mean, there was nothing like third party stuff that I found interesting from what I saw.
The one from software game looked kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie, but
Which one was that again?
I the Duskbloods, I think is the name.
I can't even remember it.
It was like the very last game they showed on the deal. And like that, oh, the Donkey Kong game, that game looks really cool.
Yeah,
Basically it's Hulk Ultimate Destruction with Donkey Kong.
makes sense.
And they streamed that in 4K as well on that treehouse, and god damn, what a nice looking game. I have it up on my TV currently. I have my TV muted to potentially not anger our fucking Italian plumber overlord, Mario, not Luigi. Um, I I'm curious to see what like the actual because Xbox allegedly has the deal with Asus for the was it the ROG Allies what they make? Yeah, because Legion goes Lenovo. They have the deal for apparently like an Xbox branded ROG Ally, and that's interesting, I guess. But I want to see the actual like Microsoft developed handheld that's allegedly going to be launching in 2027, like what exactly that looks like and what it entails. And there was the PlayStation rumor that they had a handheld that would natively play PS5 and PS4 games. But that seems to be like, oh, it's going to launch next gen, which how does that make any damn sense when it's going to launch alongside next gen, but it's going to be focused primarily on last gen experiences?
Who knows? I'm kind of getting sick of all these handouts, to be honest. I thought like
I
the Steam Deck would be enough, and it is enough for me. But like when I hear about this and this and this, I'm just like, can we settle down for a little bit?
I mean, the Switch proved that there's a market and a large one at that for a portable like video game console. I
Yeah,
would like
I get it. It's just that for me personally, I wouldn't want to have like a bunch of handhelds lying around. Yeah,
right, I understand that.
yeah,
I don't think you can have that kind of I was saying this to somebody recently. There were the kids that we all looked at as being like lucky who had all three of the systems, PlayStation, GameCube, and Xbox during that console generation.
Hmm.
It is not financially viable to be that kid anymore.
It's also not needed because, I mean,
So
in
much
the
stuff's
case of
multi-platform now.
exactly like PlayStation and Xbox, you can get most of those titles, if not all, on PC. Really, you have to just worry about Nintendo when it comes to like first party stuff because they're not going to go on PC, right? So
Right. And I've seen people saying Nintendo need to like get over themselves. No, they won the last console generation. That
yeah,
they
I mean,
like the Switch dog walked everybody. The Switch 2 probably is going to dog walk everybody again.
they don't have to get over themselves. It's the people that want to play them on other platforms that need to get over themselves and realize they need to buy Nintendo products. I mean, that's the only way to get it. It's always been that way.
Yeah, like the famous story of like id Software doing a PC conversion of like Super Mario Brothers 3
Yeah.
and Nintendo being like, "Oh, this is cool. We want to sell Nintendo Entertainment Systems, not home computers."
Yeah, there was that was it Nintendo Super Mario Special on like the PC 88 or whatever it was. That was really bad. Like no wonder they want to keep them all on their own hardware.
Yeah, it's to me Nintendo's always going to have the most interesting lineup purely based on first party titles, and if somehow they're able to maintain third party support on the Switch, I mean, there's games that I don't necessarily need the PS5 or PC experience on,
Right.
like the rumored Metal Gear Solid Delta port for the Switch, Switch 2 rather. If it runs on the Switch 2, like if it's like a competent port, I don't need the PS5 version of that game at that point. But also, I worry that the Switch 2 version is going to be like one of those you put the game in and the cartridge in and it starts the download kind of thing.
Mm.
So at that point, like, yeah, maybe I should just. Man, yesterday I kicked the tires when I was looking at the money that I got for selling off like actually like 80% of my collection. Um, I was like, I could just go fucking buy a PS5 right now. And then it hit me. There's like no fucking games I want to play on the PS5.
No. In regards to like Switch 2 versions of games too, the thing I'm wondering about is like, is it going to be gimmicky? Because we've seen it with like previous Nintendo consoles. Like Joy-Con, the Wii remote controls and stuff like that. Is like, are they going to do stuff with like the way you can use the Joy-Cons as like a mouse? Is it going to be some sort of gimmicks specific to that console, as opposed to like a PS5 or a PC version? I hope not, unless it's something that's really a positive for the gameplay experience. But if it's just another gimmicky thing that they just add because it's there, then that's going to be kind of lame.
It doesn't feel like there's a ton of that on Switch 1, especially the further along you get into the console.
Hmm. True.
So I'm thinking unless it's like an FPS, because like Prime 4 I think has like the keyboard mouse type thing with the little like you might see like if God forbid they port like COD or
Right.
the rumored Halo deal. I could see that being available because like that's a cool idea. But I don't think like I think we've outlived the early Wii and DS thing of like gimmick bullshit.
I hope so, but also when they bring back a camera in 2025, it's like, eh, it's the weird
Yeah,
thing
but
to.
that's like isn't it like specifically for the Mario Party type games?
Uh, I don't know, but I feel like I don't know. It just feels like something that why, Just, like
I
yeah,
I don't think that's gonna be something that like a game like none of the games either of us are probably gonna be interested in are gonna have anything to do with that.
probably not. No.
That feels like something that's gonna be relegated to like the goofier, more like get all your buddies together and play a dumbass game kind of games.
Hmm.
I hope that they don't. Like I would hate to see camera integration for like fucking Metroid.
You don't have like yourself play against Little Mac and Punch Out.
I mean, that would be funny. But I don't think we're ever getting another Punch Out game. The last one did not
It'll,
exactly set the sales charts on fire.
it'll be a mini game in some like Nintendo camera
Like
collection or
WarioWare.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I really feel like I should have a console by the time Metal Gear Solid Delta comes out in the summer, but eh. The biggest draw for me with getting a PS5 now is mostly just have a 4K Blu-ray player.
Hmm.
And I mean, I have a lot of 4K Blu-rays. I have 4K Blu-rays I wasn't able to watch because I sold my PS5 off like right before I got them in the mail. So
Should
like,
get a really beefy PC.
yeah, I should, but I don't want to because I know like whatever I buy, I'm gonna see like there's a new chipset out, and I'm gonna want to fucking like blow everything up to get that. It's like part of the reason I don't want to build my own PC because I know it's gonna one take me forever to get the parts for everything, and two, by the time I get it together and I get it up and it's functional and everything, there's gonna be like a new graphics card out, or like there's gonna be a new like a new processor that I want to put into the fucking thing instead, and then it's gonna be like the never ending loop, and I my brain can't handle that. I'm too old for that shit now. If I was like 18, that would be like the move, but I'm hurt and I'm old and I'm fucking tired and I work with fucking children.
For me, I don't necessarily care about that stuff. It's just like, can I run the games I need to run and stuff? And it's like, yes. And then if it gets to the point where I can't, then it's like, then maybe it's time to look into just buying a new PC. That's how I view things. I don't want to build my own shit and stuff. As you said, it's time consuming, and I don't have the patience for it. Um, yeah, that's why I'm playing like everything on PC. I can't remember the last time I put on my PS5.
Oh, also, apparently that Mario Kart bundle is only available through the fall.
That's strange.
I mean, I get it. Like they always do, like the bundles for like a limited time, but
Why not
that feels like
winter?
a really short. Yeah, right. So people can have that for Christmas. That feels like way too short of a window, especially when, even though they're stockpiling units, it's still going to be fucking impossible to find one of these things for like 5 or 6 months.
This doesn't sound fun.
No, no, and video games are supposed to be, and that's part of the problem. And what was I gonna say? There was another game I was gonna talk about, and I just completely fucking blanked on what it is. Jesus Christ, I'm getting old. I literally just had it right in front of me.
Was it the Maximum Carnage thing I sent you?
Oh, that's really cool. I'm apprehensive to play that and like the X-Men ones and the Infinity Marvel Infinity, whatever the fuck one. Cause
Infinity War, I
like,
think it is.
yes. Yeah, I was gonna say Infinity Crusade, but I knew that wasn't the right one. Those are really cool fan projects, but those Capcom, and I know that Maximum Carnage was acclaimed, but specifically the other two, those Capcom games have a certain feel to them, and I've seen the gameplay of those, and it doesn't really, it's not the same thing. They look really cool. I'm always a little leery of like, we did a better version of Mutant Apocalypse. Okay,
Right.
it doesn't look or feel the same. That Maximum Carnage one looked way cooler. Like I kind of want to play it.
There's a game I saw on Twitter recently called Mad Metal. It's like a it's like Twisted Metal style game, but with inspiration from like Mad Max as well. It looks really neat. And there's like a New York City level and stuff. It looks like something to keep an eye on for people that are like fans of Twisted Metal and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah,
were you
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, were you gonna bring up Ray's VPW2 translation? Is that what maybe you're thinking of?
Is
Did
that?
he send?
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't. He sent the translation. He was the one that supplied us with the translated ROM of Fire Pro, Final
yeah.
Fire Pro. So shout outs to Ray. Um, his translation seems very interesting because he's actually translating the BBS and Royal Road. So like
Yeah,
the unlock and everything are going to be there.
the unlock stuff is cool because like having it translated for once, you get to see like all the references and stuff they make to the wrestlers that you're gonna unlock. Like they throw
Yeah,
out little hints and stuff in the wording.
in stuff like the fucking clue to get the destroyer mask about like Baba not giving up. Also,
Yeah,
8 28 years ago today was the first ECW pay per view.
barely
Thank you
legal.
for thank you for telling me Facebook memories that I made a post about the 18th anniversary of that 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was a cool show. That Michinoku Pro Tag was like fucking crazy.
That's like the best thing on that show. I like that show. It's not near my favorite ECW pay per view. I do like Taz and Sebo. It's probably my favorite thing on that show. Actually, now that I think about it,
Hmm.
that match rocks. The M Pro tag rocks. The three way that leads to Terry Funk getting the match with Raven's pretty neat too. Um, God, just what an interesting time early 1997 was. If that pay per view happens even like a year earlier, it feels like things could have been significantly different. And especially if they could have got on in like 95.
Yeah.
If a show like Barely Legal happened in 1995, wrestling in the US would be a hell of a lot different than it ended up being. But it didn't. And I saw a thing recently that like it was the anniversary of like the day ECW filed for bankruptcy, so technically ECW did outlive WCW. And it's like fuck yeah, EC Dub, but then I got really sad because like fuck EC Dub's gone.
Oh, you're not gonna start tweeting restore ECW again, right?
I didn't do that in the first place.
No.
WCW Worldwide said restore ECW, and I went with the correct
No, that
take
was
of restoring Kip.
WCW, wasn't it?
Yes, that's correct. Because I went with the correct take of restore Kip Fried WCW because that's the era of WCW that gave us the Dangerous Alliance.
The thing about ECW is that they did bring it back and we saw what happened.
Well, that's not restoring ECW. That's putting the boots to ECW. I remember people on like wrestling figs when ECW came back. They're like, I wish they'd bring back WCW. And it's like, do you realize how badly? Look at how badly they're putting the boost to ECW right now. What the fuck do you think they do to WCW?
It you can't bring it you can't really do that. I mean for a number of reasons, but like it's such like a specific period. Like if you were to bring WCW back, what would make it WCW other than the name?
Yeah,
What are you gonna do? Like you can't bring it back to the old roster, obviously. Like you're probably not gonna bring back the old sets. What is there to WCW if you're gonna bring it back?
book a Southern style wrestling promotion on national television again.
Mm,
It's what I would do.
that's not what
But
most people think of, though. I feel it's like when they think
I
about that,
mean,
it's like, oh, we're gonna bring back WCW and have a new NWO or some shit.
they were still like a Southern wrestling company even into like the NWO era. They're still doing like old school like heat type stuff even during that era.
Right.
It's not until like 99 when things start to fucking go. 98 honestly is when it starts to slide creatively, but 99 is when they go off a fucking cliff and then they bring Russo in and anything that resembled old Southern wrestling is fucking just gone.
Yeah. There's somebody out
And
though that their idea of bringing back WCW is like Vince Russo, and the roster consists of like Mark Jindrak and uh I don't know Sean Stasiak as a superhero or whatever he is now.
I I really wanted AEW to fill that void. And it took a
It really
long
went
time
good.
for me to realize like nobody's gonna fill that void. Nothing can be what we had in the past, and people like to, and we've talked about this a bunch on the show. People really like to try to fucking say like this current thing is the new version of this thing from the past, and it never sticks. Like
No,
when people were trying to say like 2018 GCW was the new ECW, no,
it didn't feel anything like ECW to me.
No, and like I know people that like before GCW got big said like the shows they ran at like that Game Changer World kind of felt like going to the ECW shows, and I want to say it was like Allentown or whatever,
Hmm.
or like Jim Thorpe. And that's like such a weirdly specific comparison that unless you were actually there, you can't say if that's right or wrong. But I was seeing people in like, I mean, people still do it. They talk about GCW being the new ECW, and it's like, all things being equal, I can't throw a grenade into the GCW locker room and hit somebody that would have actually fit in ECW.
I don't even really know who they have on the roster anymore.
Like, I mean, I guess you could make the argument for like Joey Janela, but I'm just repeatedly shrugging because we don't do a
Teaming
video
with like
podcast.
teaming with the Prodigy or whatever. Yeah.
Janela has like extreme. He would have been like, if he was around in like 2000, he would have worked with Kid Cash. He probably would have. No, actually, you know what? He would have been with like Hamrick and Easy Money,
Yeah, probably.
or he would have been with Kid Cash against those guys. Something like he would have been around Kid Cash. It's like that's like the vibe I've always gotten from
Hmm.
it. And like when they tried to do the Reiwa Three Musketeers thing a couple of years ago, like, oh, you're dooming those kids because none of them are Muto, none of them are Chono, none of them are Hashimoto.
Yeah, you nostalgia has to stay nostalgia. You can't bring everything back and try to do that new version of the same thing, right? It's just it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, and Marvel's gonna learn that the fucking hard way next year
Yeah,
with Doomsday.
probably.
Like I have zero doubts that movie's gonna do well, but they're gonna learn a fucking really brutal lesson with trying to. You can't go this far with it. You're going into like nostalgia for the Fox X-Men movies, and like the fucking opinion on those movies has turned so much over the last like 2 or 3 years.
Hmm.
Like what are you gonna go get fucking Eric Bana to play the Hulk? You gonna go get Edward Norton to play the Hulk too? We gonna
Yeah.
go fucking we gonna go get Ben Affleck back to fucking play Daredevil?
What
We
was
gonna
the
get Jennifer
rumor that?
Garner to play Elektra?
Well, I mean, they did that in Deadpool versus Wolverine. There's always a chance she could show up somewhere. I think the rumor was that they wanted Affleck for that movie as well, right?
Like are we just gonna go and like exploit the history of these movies, a lot of which people weren't particularly fond of at the fucking time,
I mean, I
to
saw
make a quick
people
buck off nostalgia?
wanting them to bring back the Fantastic Four movies from the 2000s or those actors. You know, obviously Chris. Oh God, what's his last name? Chris.
Evans.
Yeah, he played this comedy. Um, Johnny Storm in Deadpool vs Wolverine. I wouldn't want any of the other ones to show up though. I don't see the. I didn't like those movies anyway. I hated those movies.
I liked the first one just fine. I never saw the second one.
They thought they were both terrible. Are they going to bring Galactus back as a cloud? There's an idea.
No, Big G is just regular ass Galactus and the
I heard
Fantastic
like
Four movie.
they seem to insinuate like they had like a proper suit with like miniatures. Like it was like they were doing sort of like Godzilla shit, which sounds like really cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, if they actually did that.
I heard they're doing reshoots now though, which kind of like the movie's out real soon.
Yeah, but didn't James Gunn say he wanted to do reshoots for Superman somewhat recently as well?
No, no, I think they did pickup shots, but they weren't doing like full on reshoots. And that was like a few months ago anyway. We're
I
not
feel like
doing
I
them
saw this
all.
somewhat recently, but I don't.
No,
Reshoots are weird. People act like they're the fucking death knell for a movie. Now, if the Captain America movie, they were because they reshot that movie to Kingdom fucking Come.
yeah. You mean
But
Serpent Society or New World Order? I think that's what it was called at
Brave
one
New
point.
World or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't get that. I don't know. The movie industry is fucking fundamentally broken. The gaming industry is fundamentally broken. The action figure industry is going to be probably like irreparably damaged by this trade war bullshit.
Hmm.
God, everything sucks, man.
Yeah, that's a great depressing way to end the podcast if we're at that point.
I can't think of anything else that was like relevant that I
I
wanted
feel
to
like we
talk
always
about.
I feel like we always end on a depressing note.
Yeah, let me try to find something that's like encouraging for a change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um uh
Oh, did I
hey,
mention last week that I figured out the matches that were complete on the Inoki Blu-ray?
I think you were talking about it, but I don't think you mentioned the actual matches.
Yeah, so I found out because it's like explicitly stated. I was just too dumb to actually fully read everything. And there's a little bit of overlap with the 60th anniversary set from a few years ago, but it's pretty cool. I'm cringing at the amount of money that thing's gonna cost, but yeah, I'm not finding anything encouraging here. What the fuck, man?
I have a Michinoku Pro DVD on the way from '99, and I can't remember the event date now, but it's not even something that's listed on Cage Match. And it sounded like a an alright card. I think it had the Sasuke the Great in the main event and the fake Nani one. I think Max was on there somewhere.
We need a dirt bike kid shoot interview
Did he not do
because
one?
the one I just remember I read excerpts of an interview with him, and that guy had his head so far up his own ass, it was amazing.
That yeah, that footage of him and Sasuke was quite funny.
Yeah, he's in ECW in '96, and Taz drops him on his fucking shit.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Also, what kind of name is the dirt bike kid, man? And also, wasn't
Uh,
he like from England? Y'all
yeah,
got
he
dirt
was.
bikes over there?
I guess he played a lot of Excite Bike when he was a kid. I don't know anything
I've
about
never
British
played
dirt
that
bikes.
game.
I mean, I moved there when I was 3 years old, so I don't know. You've never played Excite Bike?
No.
Oh, I used to play it all the time on the NES. I was kind of like obsessive with it when I was a kid.
So you're saying you were a dirt bike kid?
Well, I'm not him, in case you're wondering.
No,
We're
no. The timelines don't add up there, but I was
yeah, we're two
very
completely
interesting.
different people. I'm way too big to be that little kid. I also wouldn't disrespect Sasuke like that.
No, I wouldn't either. And if I did, I would put him in a headlock so he couldn't hurt me. I mean, he could still punch me in the balls, but you know.
You know who we don't talk about enough? Super Dolphin.
Yeah, that map where he has like the Liger gear on, and Liger's like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you."
Dolphin had like the best gear, like the nose on his mask and stuff was always unique looking, and yeah, I always found like Dolphin to be really cool.
Can somebody just bring back the fucking Kara Pro line?
That would be great. I mean, you don't want them in like 12-inch with like the arms lines there, but not working. You don't want that.
No. I when they did those Okada and Nakamura ones in the mid 2010s, I was so disappointed they made them the same size roughly as like the Mattel figures.
Hmm.
And then there was no articulation because like, brother, what the fuck are you doing?
I think there's an opportunity to do New Cara Pro sort of classics because we never got like an orange Trunks Muto or red Trunks with like the beard and stuff like that. I'm sure there's other wrestlers too that you could do that for.
Like white tights Shono.
Yeah, exactly. That's another one.
Yeah. I mean that the Now Home website had an interview with KWK, and apparently towards the end when they were running out of money, they were trying to secure names that would appeal to the Western audience. And I guess they were going after Goldberg and the Outsiders.
That'd be interesting.
And I would have been all over Kara Pro, like Goldberg and Outsiders figures.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'm
read
trying to think.
off the Inoki and the Inoki Blu-ray matches. Also, I noticed they're not claiming single layer Blu-rays for this set, and I looked it up, and they didn't use single layer Blu-rays on the previous set either. So I'm wondering if the foreign wrestler sets being so highly compressed because they were on single layer discs, that comes down to VOP and not Tokyo Sound Production, maybe.
Maybe.
But for this Inoki Blu-ray, you get 4 discs that have complete matches on them. Everything else is presumed to be edited. Um, you have Inoki versus Gotch from the first New Japan show, the famous Inoki Sakaguchi versus Thez and Karl Gotch match. Which, if you were ever wondering why Gotch and Thez were the final bosses in the first Fire Pro game, there you go. December '74 against Johnny Powers. I'm sorry, December '73 against Johnny Powers. March '74 with Strong Kobayashi. April '74 with Sakaguchi. May '74 with Killer Karl Krupp. We got June '75 with Tiger Jeet Singh. October '75 with Luthez. December '75 with Billy Robinson. February '78 against Imanosuke Ueda. We got was it April '78 with Sakaguchi. We got December '78 with Hiro Matsuda. November '79 with Bob Backlund. September '80 with Stan Hansen. December '80 with Bob Backlund against Hansen and Hogan. Um, April '81 with Hansen. August '81 against Mass Superstar. November '81 against Rector Kimura. January '82 against Abdul the Butcher. November '82. Okay, so this match rules. It's Isamu Teranishi, Animal Hamaguchi, and Russia Kimura against Inoki in like a handicap match. And the other 2 guys are just like having a match with Inoki, and then Animal Hamaguchi gets in there and goes, check this shit out, and starts like actually wrestling Inoki.
Nice.
That match rocks. We got May '83 with Akira Maeda. Some of these matches, that should also be noted, have like alternate commentary. Like right here, it mentions having Akira Maeda commentary.
There's one of like
The
Suzuki and
Inoki,
stuff, right?
yeah, the Inoki Gotch match has Fujinami on commentary. The IWGP final from '83 with Hogan versus Inoki has Suzuki on like additional commentary. There's also a June '84 match with Hogan and Inoki. August '84 versus Choshu. July '85 against Brody. September '85 against Fujinami with commentary from Fujinami. This match is incredible. It's not quite as good as the hour draw from '88, but it's good in a lot of the same ways. You get the 5-on-5 elimination match from March '86, the New Japan UWF one. Uh, the June '86 match with Inoki and Andre, which I think is where Inoki beats him by submission. Uh, November '86, you get the Dream Team of Inoki and Kevin Von Erich against Kengo Kimura and Muto.
That's the
December.
people don't talk about that one, but that's like the original Muto blade job. That's kind of crazy. I remember that match where his face is just covered in blood and Von Erich's got him in the claw. That was on one of the World Pro Wrestling from Japan tapes.
I've never seen those tapes, and I've always wanted to because it's got like Gordon Soley on commentary over
Yeah,
Japanese footage, and that sounds really interesting.
yeah, they were cool.
We got December '86, Inoki and Fujiwara against Osamu Kido and Maeda. That's probably pretty good. I've not seen that. March '87 against Masa Saito. You get the August 8th '88 draw with Fujinami with additional like commentary from Minoru Suzuki. We got February '89 against Choshu, January '94 against Tenyu, May '94 against Muda, March '95 against Fujiwara, Collision in Korea with Ric Flair, Wrestling World '96 against Vader, and
Oh yeah,
obviously you have to have the Don Fry match included as well. Uh,
that
a
that
lot
Vader
of
match
great matches
is
there.
the Vader match is like fucking crazy. That German suplex is nuts.
Yeah, there's some really nasty shit being dealt in that match, and it's really funny because Inoki's old during
Yeah,
that match. It takes that ass kicking, and then you see all the reports from like the WWF in like '96, '97 that guys are like complaining about Vader beating the fuck out of him, including noted tough guy Mark Calloway.
yeah.
Like, come on. Inoki was
See,
willing to take it.
I don't suppose the Masa Saito match is the Island Death match, right?
I don't think this one's the Ganryujima match
Okay.
because I feel like that would be noted, but I don't think this is the IWGP final, though maybe it is.
And they don't have the match of Veda from the Sumo Ryogoku with the Riot?
Oh no, this is it. This is the
Oh, okay.
Island Death match. Yeah, I
Okay.
so without it being noted, I know that they wrestle in the IWGP final in
Hmm.
'87. So that's what I always think of because for whatever reason I always think of the Ganryu Ujima death match not being in '87.
Hmm.
I don't know. As far as the Vader Riot match, that is not on here.
And there wasn't mention of the Hogan match, right? The IWGP match.
Oh no, that's here. It's got
Oh,
commentary
is
by
it?
Suzuki.
Oh, okay, okay. I missed them. Yeah, that's right. You did mention that one. I wonder if there's like,
We got
is there any like
oh
special
fun.
features or anything?
Let's see. I know that it from the way this is described, the interviews with Inoki are still here, like on the discs. Like there's like interview clips between matches
I want the
on
footage of
the first disc.
I want footage of him skydiving into the Olympic Stadium from Shockwave.
Oh, there's a thing talking about his early life, immigration to Brazil, um, other topics, and the interviewer is Yoshinari Tsuji. That's interesting.
Okay.
There's also an interview about like his introduction to Japanese professional wrestling, his training in America, and the launch of New Japan, and that's with oh, what is that guy's name? Tomomi Nagare, like that. So he's turned out like translated on here. I don't think that's the correct name.
Hmm.
But we got Yoshinari Tsuji on here doing an interview, and it looks like there's a lot of matches here that could potentially be complete just based on the run times of the discs.
Hmm.
But I mean, some of these discs are probably going to be like largely clipped. But like disc one is just over or just under 5 hours, and all of these matches are long. So I could see them being like I could see all four of these being complete. But then you get into like disc two, which has 49 matches and it runs just over 5 hours. There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
Um, disc three's just short of 4 hours. It has 16 matches and it's hyped as being like different style fights, and most of these are, but there's like matches with Andre the fucking Giant in here too. I wouldn't be shocked if this disc is mostly complete, but this is being billed as a digital remaster of the Inoki anniversary set from 2010, which retailed at the time for like 100,000 yen, which was like 924 American.
Jesus.
This one's retailing for I think 6,600 yen. Currently on Amazon Japan, it's sitting at 5,100 yen, which after shipping, to me at least, would be something like 380 bucks. I know CD Japan has it for just under or just over 400.
Good lord.
Yeah, I also know the exchange rate's been kind of wonky the last couple of days because that set went from being like 402 on CD Japan and it is now 418 before shipping. So,
I don't even want to think of the conversion. No, I'm not doing it.
yeah, you know what? I can pull up xe.com and
You said it was
so
418?
yeah, 418 USD, but I can also just give you they're charging 60,000 yen
Mm-hmm.
on CD Japan and let me god damn it. Okay. From I don't want to translate the or convert the US dollar because I have a feeling I'm not going to like the results of that on anything at this point. Why am I not doing this on my phone? Why am I such a dumbass? I'm sure this is riveting audio.
If we were frogs, it would be riveting audio.
That's true. It would be. What the fuck? Why did it Canadian dollar? So before shipping, this set would be 579.76.
Uh, I figured it was going to be close to 600.
Yeah, it's a little silly. I have the money to buy it right now, but like, golly gee fucking,
Yeah.
it's a lot, and I want it because I remember wanting the original DVD set, but I was like 19 and unemployed at the time, and there was no way in hell I was gonna ask my mom at the time to pay like $1,000 to fucking import an Anoki DVD, no matter how badly I wanted it. Like I knew it was never gonna happen, and two, that's like just ridiculously irresponsible too.
Mm.
And I had the concept of that when I was 19, so I at least had half a brain then before I rotted it with you know Wild Cherry Pepsi and Fire Pro Wrestling. Although I'd been rotting it with that for years at that point. So, oh, imagine the potential we would have had we not chose this path.
Right?
um, has Latuni released his Antonio Inoki yet? I need to know if the fucking shoulder seam is still there.
I don't know, but I can't wait for it to be released. That like might be my most anticipated figure for like funny reasons.
I could see it. I saw somebody mentioning on one of the posts about Mitch's figures, like, you keep saying coming soon. How soon is soon with the Regium figures?
How
And
soon
I
is
know we
now?
talked about this. Yeah. And like, what is he going to charge for these? Because like, I don't know that I'm paying $50 for these like I did for the Pinnacle Collection figures. I don't think they're worth that to me.
Mm-hmm.
I know I said this last week, but like, yeah, I don't know. Like, in with the current situation, like, who fucking knows, man? Like, somebody's somebody's taking a bath on these fucking figures, and I know the Epic put out a statement about um like the tariffs, and like there's minimal impact for them, but there's going to be a great impact for the American companies, and still are seeing people like, oh, why don't you just produce figures in the U.S. because you can't. It's not viable.
I saw Rush worked it out, and then somebody on Wrestling Figs was like, he doesn't understand how it works at all, and he's actually going to be paying this much as opposed to what he said, and I thought that was very funny.
That guy's a dumb motherfucker, man.
It was very, very funny.
When people talk about how stupid Americans are, that guy's like the poster child for that shit, bro. But that'll probably do us for this week. I will also be around like the next 2 Sundays, so we could probably just pick more games and talk about more games. And
Yeah, and next
next
weekend
week I
is
could talk about.
WrestleMania.
Oh God, yeah. So we can talk about night one,
Yep.
and I can talk about how much I'm dreading night two. Uh, God, is there a WrestleMania themed game we haven't played yet?
Mm, we haven't played Legends, but I don't know how that runs on emulation.
Yeah, I'm kind of terrified to download that shit for PS3 and then find out it doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
Mm. Have we talked about? Have we actually done the Game Boy Advance WWF games?
I believe so.
Did we do Road to Maniacs 8?
I'm pretty sure we did.
Damn. Hmm. After a certain point, they really don't slap the WrestleMania branding onto that many fucking video games, do they?
No.
You want to do Mania the arcade game again?
No.
No, no. There's nothing left to say about that game. We'll figure something out. That or we'll just ramble for bullshit for 3 hours like usual because that's what we do at this point.
I feel like there might be enough news next weekend that maybe
Oh, figures especially.
yeah, so maybe we should take a week off the game.
Yeah, yeah. We'll just do it. We'll just cover the reveals from it's not WrestleMania Access anymore. I guess it's called like WWE World.
Yeah, there's also other shows on the weekend that we could probably talk about as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching Minoru Suzuki versus Matt Fremont.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a hoot. So yeah, that'll do us for this week. So until next week, take care. Don't be an asshole and fuck neo Nazis.